adventure, oh so grand. With treasure maps in hand, we took a stand. Through dark winding caves and hidden clues, searching for answers to ancient riddles we pursued. Mysteries unfolded every twist and turn. As we learned secrets, our hearts began to yearn. Drama unfolded, friendships were tested, but together we faced it all, never rested. Oh, this wild journey we're on, we won't stop. We'll keep pushing through, reaching the top. With each challenge we face, we'll prevail. Pkwy and Cowlazars, heroes of this tale.
Okay, everybody. Thanks to Justin for sending us that song. Today we're going to get into the auction website. Isn't that right, K-Pro?
Yes, by popular question. I had not recalled or maybe ever reviewed the auction website in excruciating detail. So I took that fabulous, awesome, incredible PowerPoint from last year that had Jack's emails, Condor, and Scrapbooks, and announcements and all of that, all the formal stuff, and overlaid the auction website to see if there's any interesting patterns or responses or that sort of thing. So the PowerPoint will be long, but we're not going to go over the emails, the stuff we've already gone over, but it's there. I put it in the PowerPoint, so it's about 130-page PowerPoint. Because if we ever, there's a lot of times I lose these PowerPoints and I can only go back to here. So it's all in one place. Do you see? It's all in one place. It's all in one place, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
You see my organizational skills?
Didn't we go over this a year or so ago, or is this different?
Oh my gosh. So
is that what you just said?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah.
Love you guys listening ears. So the piece that has never been done is the auction site. So we did a year ago the emails of Jack, Condor, announcements, and Scrapbooks, but we didn't do the auction site part. So the auction site part, I'm using the same slides in some cases.
Okay.
I've overlaid that piece.
All right. Well.
And we did get a little announcement from the Netflix crew. It's officially announced now as Netflix, etc. I put that at the beginning. It's just one slide. It was on Insta, if you guys are on Instagram. So.
Yeah, I think some people still don't believe it's going to happen, but I don't think they're lying, everybody. So maybe it's going to happen. We don't know when, but yeah. All right, let's jump in.
I did hear it is officially over to Netflix now. They are completely done. It is in translation mode. I have heard, unfortunately, it's not anything official. I didn't hear this officially from Jared. They have decided to schedule it after Christmas. So it'll be late December, January. It's looking more and more like it's going to be January. First, they decided after the election, and now they've decided after the holidays. I would think the holidays is when people are at the TV, but I guess they're busy, and I don't know. So those are the two things we'll go over real quick. All
right. So first is the Netflix announcement, and here it is. So this was on Instagram, as Cray Pro said. Nomatica Films, nomatica.films on Instagram. Who's ready to join the hunt for Forrest Fenn's treasure? Our upcoming limited series on Netflix, Treasure Hunters, Forrest Fenn's Gold, takes you on a thrilling adventure filled with mystery and gold. Our director, Mr. McGilliard, and team have been working hard, and we can't wait for it to hit your screens. Now,
for anybody that doesn't know, Mr. McGilliard is Jared. That we know him as Jared. Right. And he happened to be sitting in a picture with Cynthia last week. Unbeknownst to me, that they had lunch and I guess chit-chatted away, because he's now, if you know anything about these, you kind of work around the clock, and then it's like, oh, when you have that hard deadline, and I think they slipped a little the hard deadline. There's some debate on that, but anyway, it is Netflix has the completed version. It's done. It's over. It's being translated. It is checking every box, getting scheduled. Go ahead.
Well, there's some people who have an issue that it says, who's ready to join the hunt? Like, Isn't the hunt over? Does that mean the Forrest Fenn? Is it a second treasure chest? Is it this or that? I think it simply means who's ready to join these treasure hunters that are in this dock and what they went through to look for Forrest Fenn's treasure. I don't know why people have to be difficult all the time.
Wait, can I be difficult just for a second? I'm still on the hunt, not for the treasure chest, but the answers.
That's true. For the answers. There you
go. But
go.
the people that are taking it, that means the treasure is still out there. You got to get out of that denial mode, guys.
Yeah. Anyway, now some people don't like it's worded that way, but I would reserve judgment until we watch it. I mean, it could be a piece of crap. Let's be honest, but it's not going to be a piece of crap. Let's at least reserve our judgment until we watch it. That's all I'm saying. Then you can rip it apart and complain all you want.
Well, okay, so it's going to be 3 hours. I'm not saying piece of crap, but it's not going to be groundbreaking to me. So there's two things: enjoyable and then groundbreaking. Think about Jens's doc that or whatever film that he has Tilo sitting on the mountainside and it pulls back and it's so awesome. I'm going to enjoy all 3 hours, like theatrics, because these are like real professionals. They've won big awards and all that. Right. So we're going to have that. Now on the second side, is it going to be groundbreaking to searchers? I am reserving the right of, I'm going to say 2 minutes of each episode. So 6 minutes. No, let's make it 3. 9 minutes. 9 minutes is going to be groundbreaking to us or really interesting. So just set your expectation. The family's not saying 9 Mile Hole. They're just giving some general statements and general observations from what I understand. And then we have Justin, which we've heard his story lots. We've heard Cynthia's story lots. I'm interested in Luby and Chris Hurst. I think that'll be interesting, but yeah.
Yeah, so let's just wait to watch it, everybody. Or if somebody's out there like, I'm not going to watch it, well, then don't. I guess that's your right to not watch it. But anyway, okay. I just thought it was funny that people
you know what?
have an issue with the title for some reason. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, some people have an issue with everything, though. I do know a lot of people have said, we want you guys, me and you, to watch it and just give us the highlights because they're over this not fun, not epic, crappy shit show ending. And so just give us the pertinent parts because they don't want to grace it with their presence. Michael O'Connell is in the house. Michael has a treasure hunt coming up, guys. Looks like he is gearing up and doing some fun things. So, and USA China and Neem. Oh, and Brutal Truth Greg. Hello there, sir.
Hey, Bill. Bye-bye. You're gone.
Oh.
Okay. Bill made a comment that he doesn't like our show. Well, then you don't need to be in our chat. So he's gone. Our friend, Bill Gorman. Okay. All I'll say is just let's wait and watch it, everybody. Okay. Thanks for joining, everybody. Everybody in the chat. Be nice in the chat, people. Be nice.
Mike's on a no tolerance.
Well, it's just if all you want to do is complain, why are you here? That's what I don't understand. I guess some people like to complain.
Well, and here's something that you said that's interesting that I've really taken heart to. This is kind of why I wanted to put everything in one spot. We are, if this is anything like the DB Cooper community and a few of these others, the Baby Reindeer, all of those, this doc's going to come out and they think it's going to be a blockbuster. And so when that happens, we're going to have a whole bunch of new people come in and go, what's a scrapbook? What does that even mean? And what is it? And isn't the treasure gone? Why are you guys still here? Depending on how Netflix presented it. So I'm not going to call dumb it down. We're going to really have to go back for the beginners and be as patient and kind as possible, even though we're not getting epic and answers and we're probably frustrated. We're going to need to be epic and kind because we're going to have a new Bill Gorman, a new Cowlazars, a new Bavetta, a new Hooley type. All those types of people are going to come in and we don't want to scare them away. We don't want them to know that we're as crazy as we are right off. It's like when you're on the first date, we got to hide it a little bit and leave the crazy for the second date.
All right. So I'm just going to say this right now. Be nice in the chat or I'll get rid of both you guys. So, all right.
I've already deleted a bunch. I've been deleting a lot. So everybody reset right now. Stop, reset.
I think we all miss Dale, but good point.
Oh, but you know who's with Dale since she posted a picture we can talk about? Cynthia's at Dale's house.
Uh-oh. Is that breaking news? Early, it's not, but
well, if you're not on her
question is what kind of information will she get? But I'm sure she'll let us know when she gets back if she has something to talk about or not. So Okay. Thanks. Brutal truth. All right.
Okay, I think you need to time out the one that keeps everything's hidden. Do you see?
I don't see. No.
Oh,
I'll keep an eye on it. I'll keep an eye on
okay.
it. Okay. Just be nice, everybody. We all have our own opinions. Just be civil, everybody. All right. Let's jump into it. The auction. All right. K-Pro. Auction website, legit or not? Just answer it before we even get into this. Or you don't know.
I don't know. I will say I'm still at the point I was before, but probably a little bit over more towards yes. I'll say I'm 60-40. There's not just dates that coincide. There's actual things that are being said. And like I have an email from Forrest. When you have 40 people stating they have the treasure chest, but you have an auction site that Forrest wants me to come out hard against, why wouldn't you want me to come out hard against Paul that said he had the treasure chest, or any of the other 40 people? Like, why the auction site, especially if it was over? So there's still a lot. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right.
So
Let's get into it.
But again, there is some interesting stuff. I'm really interested in your thought. I think at the end you're going to go maybe, and I think throughout the show you're going to say something like, that's kind of interesting. Okay, another one to time out, Mike. We got all the morons here tonight. Sorry, I meant really interesting people.
And again, we're not trying to sway anybody to the auction website. We're just presenting the evidence and what we found, or what K-Pro's found, I should say, because I haven't worked on it, and what other people have found. And you make your own. You make your own.
Yeah, and I had a PowerPoint from Packer Jack from like a year ago. I used a few of his slides. I asked a few questions. I want to say thank you to Miriam and thank you to Bavetta. They kind of gave me some links. There is someone unnamed because I haven't heard back from him how he would like to be cited. Somebody did have screen captures back from 2020 and 2022. There's a little discrepancy. I'm going to talk about that. I don't know if it was on accident or intentional. I'll talk about that because did stuff get changed after the fact? So, oh my gosh, we have a super chat. Super chat is on. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, it's been quite a while since we got a super chat. Thank you. We appreciate it. Meryl Flinders. I think that's the first time I've seen that name. The auction website, thank you for the super chat. The auction website was the first and only place to post the pictures of the stick and key within the chest. Where did they get those pics? Is that true?
No, the first place was if you look at the timeline, it says that Dale's website had it on June 16th.
Forrest. Yeah.
And then I think they had it 2 days later is when they posted it, of the information I have. If you have other information, I would love to see it though.
So yeah, we think Dale posted it from Forrest first, and we think the website auction posted it after that. Hooley says, Meryl, it seems they posted those pics. They were updated after they were released to us from Forrest. Exactly. So we don't think they had it first. And that's the whole thing, is whoever's behind the auction website, if they weren't legit, the timing sure was interesting, and they just jumped on the piggyback of it being found, saying, see, we told you so. So, but again, we'll get into it. All right.
Can you post Michael O'Connell's comment?
Any of you parents out there, I'm putting together a treasure hunt for young adults to do with their parents or adults. Oh, that's awesome, Mike. So let us know if you have a website or an email or, something where people can get more info. That'll be great.
Last I asked, he was going through copyright and trademark stuff because he's going to name it. And it's going to be huge. And we love him. If you guys remember, it's Michael the Cop from back east. If you remember way back in the day, if you were around, when you hear him, he's just a genuine soul. And we are excited when this launches, Michael. And
come on the show. And definitely when you're ready and it's ready to launch, come on the show and let's do a show just about your treasure hunt. It'll be a lot of fun.
Okay.
Why, USA China, before we even get into it, we've got chat and questions. Why was there never a single picture of the last item Forrest put in the chest? Is that the bracelet?
Because the auction website said they left it at the spot for the person, and we don't know where the emerald ring is. That's why.
Well, they didn't say bracelet.
Oh, no, he's talking about the bracelet. He's talking about the
bracelet. So that's a good question. Why? Yeah. If it's the last thing Forrest put in, why is it not in the picture that Jack took if, in fact, he didn't touch anything? Good picture. I mean, good question and a good picture. Good question, Sam. All right. Trying to get it done by 2025. All right. So Michael O'Connell's a ways away, but at least he's putting in the effort to get it done.
Doing it. Okay. He's doing it.
All right. Let's jump right into it, everybody.
Let's go. no.
So we're all looking forward to Netflix, and no, it's not going to be a piece of crap. I'm really looking forward to it. Somebody, Huli or somebody posted, could you actually stream it? Could we actually show it here? I don't think we can stream it. We can show clips and talk about it,
right.
but I think that's about it.
Yeah.
All right.
And if you get into anything longer clips, they may copyright violate us. So yeah.
Right.
Is JCB waiting on Netflix before the launch of his hunt? No, I don't think the two are tight. Okay, I have one, and I forgot who told me this. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
I already went through this with you, Mike, so I have it teed up. What day is JCB's hunt coming out?
Yeah. Let me look it up real quick. Let me look. I'm on the calendar. October 21st. October 21st is a Monday.
And what is the address of Forrest Fenn's house? The number?
1021. So JCB's hunt releases on 1021. Yeah, that is interesting. And of course, 1021 is a Monday. So that will be a JCB show that Monday if we all have our books by then. So yeah, so that is the date. Unless it changes, that is the date, Kevin, that JCB is supposed to release the hunt, and the books are going to be released. So
yeah,
1021. They know. People in the chat know. Coincidence?
Coincidence?
All right.
I don't think so.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, let's start. 15 minutes in our presentation, we have 130 pages to go.
Polar bear and a snowstorm. All right. Auction site, you say? Let's look back. We need that flashback music. All right, here we go. Here's the agenda, everybody.
So if you go, what are these slides? We've already seen them. The ones in orange are the emails, the scrapbooks, and Condor in a timeline. And then what's in green is new. So I've overlaid it to see if there's any context to particular timing. So we're going to, the orange ones, we're only going to go over if we need to reference or compare something. The green is what's new. So the green is what we're going to focus on. Okay.
All right.
And then I have some commentary at the end. Some little makes you think.
Well, what do we got going on here?
Oh, Billy Shaw has such a good question, and I'm not going to share it tonight, but it'll be shared soon. I have such an opinion on this. Go ahead, Mike.
If something was left at the site, wouldn't Sarah Davis have collected it on her trip to Santa Fe? So that's a good question, actually. We believe because nobody knew about 9 Mile Hole before the Zoom with Yellowstone. So Sarah Davis would have been the next person to actually go to the site. Is that right? Does that timeline match?
After I think Sarah Davis, per the FOIA and everything, she went out to the site. She didn't go over. She didn't read over. Right? I don't think she got into it that much. She was up talking about charges, and that's it. Here's my question. Justin says that he hypothetically put up the trail cams because he thought Jack was coming back to the spot. Why would Jack go back to that spot?
Why would Jack go back to the spot? I don't know. I mean, he said he always wanted to at some point to take a nap under the towering pine trees, but I don't think he went back anytime soon. I mean,
yeah, just saying. I just think, and the auction site says this. Okay, can we please get into the auction site?
Well, now that we're getting to this, let's get into it. Were the trail cams put up in August? Would somebody have caught Sarah Davis if she crossed the river at that time?
No, because it wasn't out about 9 Mile Hole. It wasn't until the next year that the trail cams. 2021 is when Justin put up the trail cams, and his reasoning, he said, was not to be intrusive on anyone else's privacy. It was because he thought Jack was coming back to the spot.
Okay, so Sarah Davis would have been the next person to cross, if she crossed, to go to know where the treasure site was.
They didn't cross, but yeah.
How do you know that, or do we know? Is it in this PowerPoint?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk about that another day. All right, here we go. And how did she know where to go? I think they gave her GPS. That's my opinion. My opinion. All right.
Okay. So you see the slide in the background, everything but the pink. We've already done this once.
Right.
That's going to give you the timeline. Now, a lot of the scrapbook dump and all of that was previous to this. So we're not even going to go over that. Is that me? I'm hearing an echo. I'm hearing an echo. Anyway. Okay. So, but what the pink is on the left. I didn't want to have to, I actually don't have these slides. I only have this in PDF for whatever reason. The file was too big or whatever. Anyway. So what's on the left in pink is the auction site dates that it was either purchased, launched, updated, and they have updated Q&As and things.
So the domain was purchased February 26th of what year? 2020.
Now, hold on a second. I need to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
So right after this slide, you're going to see the pink in detail that we're going to talk about. The stuff on the right, the green, the black, and the blue, I have the slides for, and maybe take 1 or 2 seconds to have it up, but we're not going to go over in detail unless we need to, because we already had that in the most outstanding presentation from last year.
I'm already lost. I have no idea what's going on here, but let's keep going.
No, if you're lost, then
there we
everyone's
go.
lost. Go back.
Well, you have too much happening here. This is, yeah. Well, no, now you go through it, right? So this is the easy part. Now we'll go through each one.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. No, that's what I just asked. When did the auction site begin, K-Pro? February 26th.
So the domain was purchased February 26, 2020. This was a website that was by a previous searcher. His name's Phil. I asked Phil, like any relation. He was very nasty. And he's like, what are you, crazy? Are you, he was not the kindest of person, but I guess a lot of people probably had asked him. And he's like, I owned it before. I have nothing to do with it now. Anyway, but it was purchased February 26, 2020 by the people that rolled out the auction site, whoever that is.
And it was called forrestfenntreasure.com, I believe.
I believe so. You
don't have that in the...
I don't know.
For God's sakes. Okay. And then somebody posted it on Reddit, Goldfellow 2, in March 5th.
And Goldfellow 2, I guess, only had like 2 postings ever. So it was obviously somebody wanting it to get out.
Vicious.
So, yeah. Okay. Next slide. So go ahead. This is okay. And the green at the top is when I was doing a comparison of the screenshots from 2020. Some of these won't have green towards the end, and I'll explain why. But green means there's no doctoring. This is what was there. Go ahead.
All right, so this is from the actual website, word for word, using the Wayback Machine, I'm assuming?
Actually, 3 different sources, because we want to make sure you can alter, because like Chris Jones showed us, you can like wipe the Wayback Machine. So we had to do it a couple different, or I had to do it a couple different ways. Go ahead.
All right. The following is an announcement written by a friend of mine who has no knowledge of making a website. I'm not an expert either, as you have probably figured out by now, but a car doesn't need to be shiny to get you to your destination. If there is anything you don't like or agree with, I respectfully ask you not to shoot the messenger. Here we go.
Okay, hold on one second. So that means this website is being run by, it's kind of like Stoof.com and Chris Jones. There is a guy running this website that is only posting on behalf of the auction site person that says he's found it. So that's why you'll see don't shoot the messenger a lot. Go ahead.
Up for sale is the famous treasure chest Santa Fe art dealer Forrest Fenn has hidden in the Rocky Mountains. The content is matching the items mentioned by Mr. Fenn over the years, as well as his photographs. Additional significant value has been added by Forrest Fenn with content not previously specified. So they're saying there's things in the chest that we don't know about, not previously specified.
There's different stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Like he didn't go over those jade things. He didn't go over some of the nose rings.
So that ended up being true.
Yes.
All right. Okay. The chest has already been found in late August 2019. However, consultation with several attorneys over the last months led us to believe that the best course of action would be to sell the location information rather than the actual chest and its contents.
Okay, hold on one second. This is a Packer Jack slide. So what's in yellow is what he highlighted. And then what is in red is what I thought was noteworthy. Isn't it interesting that Jack found it in September of 2019? He says, and they're saying this is back in 2020. They're saying it's already found. Okay, keep going.
While it is still within the borders of the type of land it was originally placed by Mr. Fenn, the chest has been temporarily moved from its original location. Not far, but too far to walk, so to speak. If we accept your bid, you will be required to provide the funds to an escrow service or a mutually agreed third party to facilitate the transaction. As soon as you have retrieved the treasure, the funds will be released to us. All risks after you assumed possession of the chest with its contents would be considered yours and the deal considered finalized regardless.
Okay, hold on. Miriam says, odd that attorney would suggest that. Here's my counterpoint to that. So Forrest had a searcher that maybe he didn't see eye to eye with. And there's a FOIA that Forrest notified Yellowstone National Park. If that searcher, you pull him over and he has my treasure chest, he's not allowed to have it, give it back to me. That's actually in a FOIA email. So 2 things. We know that there was a lot of, does this belong to the person or not? Is it lost property? Does it have to go to the superintendent, et cetera? I think that is the reason that they didn't want. Let's say if you believe it was found in the park, they're saying don't. Our attorneys told us not to remove it from the park. We're going to put that. We're just going to put it in a different spot. Let's say it's DeLacy. We're going to put it at DeLacy, and we're going to have the purchaser go and pick it up there because we don't want the liability of it being found in a national park. That's why I think that, and that seems reasonable to me potentially. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I could see that, where they're like, there's a legal problem with it being in the park, so just leave it there. But then you moved it. I mean, you could technically be fined or whatever, legally responsible for moving it,
but
picking it up and moving it. But
yeah.
how do you prove that? I don't know if anybody can prove you did it.
But if you leave it in the spot that it is, Forrest could pick it up. Somebody else could pick it up. If you put it in a random spot, not related to the poem. So it's probably the lesser of all the evils that you have because Forrest put it in an illegal spot.
And if I'm reading this right, they are giving the location of where they moved it to for somebody to go pick it up, not the original location.
Right.
Okay. So bidding starts now with the minimum bid set at $2 million. Bidding ends on August 31st, 2020. Please note that nothing has been taken from the original content. If you are planning to hide the chest again to keep the chase going, we are prepared to agree to a better price than the highest bidder is prepared to pay. To take measures to protect yourself and the chest during and after retrieval would be entirely your responsibility. To protect yourself from prosecution, litigation, or loss of any kind would be entirely your own responsibility and risk starting at the moment you take possession. The details will be laid out in the contract you are going to sign before we proceed. We are open to amendments in order to suit your specific needs if applicable.
Yeah, so if you believe this, you would say from the minute you touch it, you have to worry about prosecution, what supposedly Jack had to go through, supposedly what Forrest had to go through, Sarah Davis, Department of Injustice, all of that. That's on you. We've just told you where to go pick it up.
All right.
Okay.
If the treasure cannot be sold until August 2020, we are planning to remove the gold coins and hide the chest with the remaining content at a new location. 4 additional stanzas will then be published to value the work already been accomplished and to honor the original poem. Its brilliant architect and those who are already knowingly or unknowingly leading the endeavor. That means you will still be required to completely solve the original poem before you go further, building on the knowledge you will have at this time. Remark: the question came up several times regarding the purchase of individual items. We at this time have no intention to accommodate those requests in order to be able to offer a complete and original Forrest Fenn treasure, including the chest, to a collector rather than to somebody who sees the value independent from the legacy and the history of the chase. If not sold completely and by August or until August, we plan to take out the coins and sell only them. To avoid legal implications, those sales would be without the context of being part of the treasure, meaning marketing those would be either outside the Fenn community or outside the U.S. or both. However, navigating the pitfalls of either of those options have not been addressed by our legal team yet.
Okay, so a couple of things. They're basically saying they're going to remove the gold coins, but they were going to add 4 additional stanzas. Is this the famous second poem, Mike?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, it's possible. You know, I can't say no. I mean, it's possible. It is possible.
Yeah, and that's a stretch. I mean, we're trying to focus here.
Yeah.
Let me, get some questions from
Why
chat.
don't you think Jack bought the chest from the auction site? Well, because I don't know if he had the money to buy the chest. I mean, he said he had medical debt and he was a struggling whatever, right? So,
well, it's interesting
just to turn around and sell it, I guess is the question.
It's interesting that Jack is commenting about our YouTube. Jack is talking to people and basically trolling and calling them out on Reddit, but he never publicly talked about the auction site. He didn't say that's not true. He talks about scrapbooks. He talks about so much, but he did get emailed and he did deny. He said the auction. The reason I don't think Jack potentially bought it is Jack has said he didn't. We're going to show that at the end, the question and answer from the email. Thank you. Ryan Bavetta is the one that gave it to me. He asked Jack, and Jack said, nope, that's a troll site. But he's commenting on everything in the world on the chase, but didn't comment about the auction site in the last 6 months. I find that sus. Okay, hold on.
Well, Copper Dan's got a good question.
Okay, go ahead. You missed
I've not followed the auction website much, but has anyone asked Jack if he owned that site and decided to try to sell the location? So in other words, it's Jack that has put it up.
Yeah, I just answered that.
Oh, okay. Well, wait, how'd you answer it?
Jack says the auction site was bullshit.
Oh, okay.
But he also said he never lived in Puerto Rico. So he's a liar when he needs to be. So it was within the same border, still in a national park. Miriam, yes. Who owns the website? Did anyone do a who is search? Yes, they have. Some people have said they know. Some people have contacted them. There is no consensus about who owns it. I think they've masked it in some way. I don't fully understand, but we do not know who owns the website. Okay, you already said that one.
Okay. Moving on.
Keep going.
There is more to consider, however. Assuming the treasure is sold in its entirety, there is more value in it to be discussed. We would like to write a book and sell the movie rights to share the incredible journey across the 4 states and beyond to collect all what matters. All this would have to be reflected and discussed in the bidding process in order to arrive at a fair price for a certain agreement. There's so much more on our plate right now to be included in the decision how to proceed further, and we have to carefully manage the pressure building up as the disenchanting sobriety of reality is kicking in. The most prudent decision right now is probably to buy a 6-pack, go for a ride back to the mountains and along the river bottoms where dreams and fantasies alike go to play. Okay.
Yeah, nothing huge. So basically, they're saying they still have the right to tell their story later.
March 4th, 2020, the first question. Thank you all for your questions so far. I've been asked by the finders who, now it's plural, finders. First he said it was a friend, now it's finders, who want to remain anonymous at this time to include a Q&A on the website to address those questions which are more typical than others. Whatever your specific question might be, feel free to contact me and I will get back to you as soon as I have the answer. This can always take several business days, so please bear with me. Question, how can we trust you? You are anonymous, and yet you want us to believe you found the treasure and sell it. Why don't you just show us a recent picture of the chest or the content or the place you found it? Did you contact Forrest? And the answer, thank you, Shane, for the most popular of all questions, and please allow us to shorten it. You shouldn't trust us based on what we claim. If you want to make a bid, you can go ahead anytime without having to prove that you have the funds available either. Only when the bidding list is complete will we go from top to bottom with the highest bid process first. We will contact you to make an appointment where we will bring you one item you will recognize from the book as well as some recent pictures. We will bring legal representation, and so should you, to represent yourself in the most effective way. Only if your attorney has familiarized him or herself with the facts and advised you to proceed further should you make the next move. We have been advised by our own lawyers not to present any evidence of the chest or its content publicly, not to feed any possible litigation with anything tangible, to maintain deniability until either an agreement with the IRS has been made or it has been established that an agreement is not necessary. Mr. Fenn has not been contacted yet, as we think an auction could result in a more favorable outcome than the other option. It is an interesting answer. We do have a super chat. The Junk Underdog with a $20 super chat says, Waco Joe and Zoe here. We have missed y'all guys. Rest in peace, Forrest Fenn. Sending lots of love. Hey, we appreciate that. Thank you. And we're glad you joined us once again. Just going over this pesky auction website that never seems to go away. Hooley says, whomever the writer either has terrible grammar or is making a mess on purpose.
I start underlining some of the typos that I found.
Mm-hmm.
I do typos all the time, but I'm not trying to sell a $2 million treasure chest. It is kind of interesting, the amount of issues. Yeah. I
mean, if it is true, if this site was legit, would it really not have come out 4 years later? What's that?
Well, potentially there's a lot of people have been talking about it for some time. Five Leaf says the worst writer in the chase is K-Pro's phone. 100% agreed. I don't even try to correct it anymore.
K-Pro's phone.
Yeah, because my thumbs, I have lots of typos. So yes, if someone can prove it.
Right. Chase Incorporated, maybe they have some inside info. So selling the chest through the website is so vague. The conditions are not very explicit.
And I think that's intentionally. And they say, so this is the interesting part to me. Their way that they say, you can take this at face value, guys. You don't have to. You're not giving money to us. You're giving money to a legitimate escrow company, and they're going to hold that money until you have the chest in your hands. So you don't have a risk. This is a legitimate company. Get your lawyer, it's just like a home and escrow.
It is interesting where they basically say, don't trust us. Like, you don't have to. Like, just put in a bid, and we're going to go top to bottom, and then you prove the funds, and we'll show you the proof. And it is interesting. All right. Clearly more than one writer, Mama Q says. All right. Let's get back to it.
Okay, wait. So look at Billy Shaw Jr. just before we get too far.
Did you know that the attorney off the site had an address that was in the same complex of a shop named The Woods? I did not know that.
Yeah, well, from what I understand, and I don't know this, so I don't want to get off on a tangent too much. Once they sold the auction site, it directed to a Wyoming LLC lawyer. I don't know. It was very confusing. So I didn't include that in here. You guys know more information. Rudy Green, you made the PowerPoint, my friend. So who was the legitimate escrow service? They didn't say.
Who was he saying? Who was the most legitimate escrow service? Rude, there's no red button in this PowerPoint, right?
There is
little joke there,
some
Rudy.
actual information that Rudy has explained, which I don't believe, and we can agree to disagree. And I just saw your website, and it's about me, not in a good way. Why would you spend your time doing that? That's a bunch of hooey to me.
That's the Home of Brown one?
Like a non-troll.
I didn't take it that way, but maybe we'd have to look at. I'd have to relook at it. Oh, hang on, everybody!
Whoa!
The $50 super chat, the junk underdog, a play on words, if you will. Fenn the writer and Fenn Jack. Fenn the writer and Fenn Jack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait. Play on words, if you will. Fenn the writer and Fenn. See, this is a lot of people. Like Fenn is like Pam says. Jack is just the figment of the Forrest's imagination or whatever. There's a lot of people that think this. And you know what? This is such a muddy ending with no answers and no epic fun that I don't know. After this, just wait till you see some stuff. Okay.
And
I can make that much money in 5 seconds.
Thank you for that super chat. We appreciate it for sure. Okay. Okay, let's get back to it. Boom, 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 boom.
And that's not true. I have Mike in my life too, and kids, and a dog and cat. Some people are one of my haters are saying, you have no life, you put this together. Well, if you don't, you have no life coming in here to tell me that. Go away. Go ahead.
I didn't skip one there, did I? Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Question. In which state did you find the treasure? And what is Warm Waters Halt and Home of Brown? Hi, Jason. Please refer to the text above. We have explained that if a sale doesn't happen, we are planning to keep the chase going, adding 4 additional stanzas, which in turn requires us to keep it a secret. And if a sale takes place, we intend to write a book about our adventures, which should lead the reader slowly to the treasure as we go through our solve as time goes by. All we can say is that we have a lot of respect for Mr. Fenn, having been able to withstand all those interrogations without being caught, and when close to maintain his calm and use the right words. We always start to sweat, however, when Mr. Preston enters the room.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I think they just threw that in there to make people interested. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and Rudy's point is, if it can't be verified, it's not true. None of this can be verified. Well, Rudy, you said that you know who the owner is to this. That's the only thing potentially verified, but you wouldn't give us the name. So we don't have that verified. Nothing other than all this is claims, but there is some interesting timeline dates, which we'll go over. But keep going, Mike. Keep going. So what do you think about, I don't know. I think this is a little bit of shenanigans.
Yeah, I don't know. How many miles are from where Warm Water Halt to the Blaze? Legend is NASA spent $1 million to develop a pen able to write in space without gravity, while the Russians decided to use a pencil. What kind of an answer is that?
That has to be a message to someone about something, because that's so, if you're legitimately trying to show that you are a owner of a treasure chest and $2 million and you're serious business and you answer like that, this is where I go back to the other side of going troll again, because you don't bring in shenanigans if you're trying to put yourself as legitimate, or this is a secret message to Forrest. I don't know.
USA China says, are they indicating Douglas Preston would know them? Maybe. I mean, just reading that answer, it seems to me they're saying that however many miles are from where Warm Waters Halt to the Blaze, I think they're saying you can circumvent it. You could go, you don't have to travel that many miles. Although I don't know what that means, but that's kind of how I take that answer. Nemo says, if legit, do you think the auction website owners are members of the Fenn community or outside actors? I don't know. I know they were. I know they had to be monitoring the Fenn community once they put this website up to see what people thought of it. I just don't know if we can determine from the website if they were part of the community or not.
Well, they say they found the treasure. I think it's a searcher, but we have a lot of crazy searchers. So I think it's a potentially rich, crazy searcher, but we have some of those. We know some of the rich, crazy searchers. So turd.
That answer sounds like something Forrest would say. Mama Q says, if you want to know who the auction website was talking to, read the first quote at the top of the site. Isn't that the one can keep a secret, three can keep a secret if two of them are dead? The Benjamin Franklin quote? Well, what do you mean, Mama
at the very bottom, because I put that as like the border. So I put that, you'll see that in a little while is what I think she's referring to, but I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. What quote are you talking about, Mama Q? Put it in the chat. Okay. Question. Did you like the place Forrest chose for the chest? Answer. Not sure who chose whom. I've never been more at peace in my life than crossing the Pacific Ocean single-hand to Hawaii in the late 80s. Whenever in my later life, I was in a situation I wanted to escape mentally, I find myself on that little sailboat listening to the waves, knowing I had so-and-so many days left being alone. When you get closer and closer to landfall, more and more of that feeling evaporates until you are the old you again, being tense and prepared for every unimaginable encounter of stupidity only human beings are able to throw at you. I assume that magic little place comes in different shapes and colors, and lucky are those who found it. So that actually ages this guy. I mean, he said he crossed the ocean in the late 80s. So I guess that would mean he was probably born in the 60s. I would think he was at least 20 years old when he did that, which would be just a guess. But
well, and have you noticed we've gone from we to I? So I think there's two people at least writing this. And Paula brings up an interesting point. Is that $1 million? Well, that's not million. So could that be a code for 1 mile? That's kind of interesting. I like that.
Oh, I see. One. So how many miles are from Warmo's House to the Blaze? 1 mile. That's interesting. Mr. Bavetta says, Preston said you might have an advantage if you were an old fishing buddy of Forrest. It seems like he knew and slipped up a bit.
Yep.
Yes, true.
And said that in our interview. It makes sense now.
That does align with 9 Mile Hole, or could, I guess. Okay.
Okay. So go one more slide. Now this is the scrapbooks, which we're not going to go over, but just keep going slide by slide. Okay. Don't go fast. So if somebody wants to go back and pause on this, about every 2 or 3 seconds, just go to the next slides.
Mm-hmm.
You can be doing this a while, so go a little bit faster. So these are the emails. In case we need to reference them, I'm going to bring that first slide back to the end. Keep going.
See, this is for you, everybody. This is for you when you rewatch this. This is for you so you can pause it and take your notes and make your decision and do what you want to do. There you go. Everybody, thumbs up for K-Pro's PowerPoint. Okay, January 26th.
Yeah, so these are all, I've broken this up into a couple timelines. This is Condor, so if you actually want to see what Condor was saying at this time, but we're going to wrap this part up, so keep going.
Condor again.
Yeah, 3 different times. And then let's look at the timeline of what Forrest was doing.
And I'll just say this real quick. It's really interesting. Condor says Sotheby's sold the Masquerade treasure and a treasure trove's jewels. They also sold original drawings and other paraphernalia from Masquerade. I'd have to Google for other examples. So Condor is bringing up the example that it's happened before for an auction house to do such a thing. Okay.
Okay, so now this makes a little bit more sense. Oh, super chat. Go ahead before we start, Mike.
30-second recap, please. How do we know the exact spot now? The Jock Underdog. All right, thanks.
Cynthia Meacham has seen the 2 videos that one of them, Forrest goes over the 9 clues. That is only speculation. Mm-hmm. So we know through the last almost 2 years, we had Forrest emails between him and Jack subpoenaed in court, and they were provided. We are going over these now, and you can see them in full length about a year ago. And Jack we found out that Jack is Condor on Reddit, and he talked about searching at 9 Mile Hole. He talked about his place on the Madison. Ryan Bavetta did a FOIA out of Yellowstone, and they redacted all of the place, but there was one FOIA that specifically said 9 Mile Hole, and I'm losing what was that on the calendar, or I'm not exactly sure what that was. What other evidence do we have?
Well, the emails are, I'm sorry, there's emails in the court case where Condor or Jack, I think, talk about 9 Mile Hole. But I think a big one is that the Department of Interior files a injunction. Is that the right term? In the court
notice
case,
of intervention.
Notice of intervention to say, Jack, you cannot say the location. Now, that doesn't mean Yellowstone, but that does mean Department of Interior. But if you delve down into that, you know, the park ranger is the one.
And the biggest one, I would say, is October of 2019, Dale received basically Forrest's diary, if you will, of his life. It's kind of like scrapbooks, but it talks about him wanting his spirit to be at 9 Mile Hole, where Shiloh and Little Sam will meet him one day after he dies. And it was all about 9 Mile Hole. So that's a couple of the things. We have a lot of independent evidence.
Right.
If you put it all together, the one about the videos is probably the biggest one in the binder. But yeah.
Here's the question. Here's the question. If it went before a judge and a jury of 12, would there be enough evidence to say it was 9 Mile Hole? Maybe we should do that. Should we bring 12 people on from the community and do a mock trial?
No, how about 12? How about 12 people not in the community?
That have no idea. That actually would be pretty cool.
Okay, then who would be? So we would be one side. Who would be the other side? That's a fabulous idea.
You would actually entertain that idea, K-Bro, with a Zoom where everybody's in there and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, that could be a blast.
All right, everybody, think this through, how we could do this. 12 independent people, and one side's going to present the case for 9 Mile Hole, and one side's going to present the case that it's not 9 Mile Hole. That could actually be fun. It would be a fun thought experiment.
Okay, who's the judge?
Yeah,
and who's each of the lead counsels? We need a judge and lead counsels.
Thank you for the other super chat. My spot was in Spanish Creek Trail. Womp, womp, womp.
I don't know where that is. That what state is that? Where is that?
Colorado. Yeah, I don't know where Spanish Creek Trail is. We all had our spot, didn't we? Yeah, I could be the judge because I could be impartial. I would make sure everything's on the up and up. That's what I think. And I would be the moderator of the Zoom, so that makes sense. No?
How about Lisa West as our judge?
How about Tree? Yeah, that would be interesting.
Oh, how about Joel Lewicki?
How about a little Glenn Ross? Can we get an Alec Baldwin type in there?
Yeah,
we can have a lot of fun with this if we're serious about doing it. We'll talk about it. The
judge would need to be an outsider. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. All right. The judge.
Yes, Billy Shaw, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. It's in there.
Okay. Cowlazars, the site posted the fake movie clip. Oh, no, that sounds like stoof.com. They posted the fake movie clip, 35, 28, 38, in response to a question they didn't want to state. It's in the PowerPoint, K-Pro?
Well, the movie is.
Yeah, but it's in your PowerPoint. You mentioned this? Okay.
No, I don't mention that part. No.
Okay. In the middle of the clip, he whispers, handmade in France. What? That's got to be breaking news. So hang on. Billy Shaw Jr., because you didn't put this in the PowerPoint?
I didn't know that part, no.
Okay. So you're saying, Billy Shaw Jr., on the auction website, they posted a movie clip from the movie Fake, 35 minutes and 28 seconds to 38 minutes, 53 seconds, in response to a question they didn't want to state nor tip off the asker. In the middle of the clip, he whispers, handmade in France. I mean, that leans toward they looked at the bottom of the chest. Can that be a coincidence?
I have another reason for that movie, because that movie, well,
here's the deal. Not that we don't believe you, Billy Shaw Jr., but somebody's got to show us from the Wayback Machine or something. Send me a screenshot that this was on the website. It's for everybody. Not that we don't believe you, but
no. The site posted the fake movie. You're going to see that in a couple slides.
I just asked you, was it in the PowerPoint?
Okay. The fake movie place is in the PowerPoint.
Oh,
the piece that says handmade in France is not in the PowerPoint.
Okay, got it. Interesting. That's
it's added up. I have a new slide.
That's another that we've got scales here of yes or no. That's a little bit heavier on the yes side that it's legit. All right. Most important link on the site, in my opinion, Mama Q says. Okay. Check the source code for the clip minutes.
Yes.
I did not know this. I was not aware.
When I did this a year ago when Fake came up, after Shiloh referred us to the fake book that I bought, and it was actually the fake movie. That's a whole nother piece to this. The movie is about Dahori paintings.
Right. The movie Fake. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Keep going.
Interesting. All right.
But I watched the movie, so I have it somewhere. I think it's online. Oh, Meryl. We have something from Meryl here.
Meryl Flinders with a $5 super chat.
Thank you.
If Jack found it, why didn't he know about the stick picture? Wait a minute.
Jack provided us. Well, what do you mean? Jack is the one that emailed that to Forrest on June 5th.
Yeah, that's Meryl, Jack did provide that picture. It was not the website. The website put it up after Dale released it on his blog. So the stick picture was from Forrest, which was from Jack.
Right. Which we got in court. We got both the email and the pictures.
Okay. All right. Let's jump back into Well, that's an interesting little tidbit there about the fake thing. Okay. You want to go over any of this?
Yes. Hold on.
All right.
So the thing, the thing that I want to kind of match up some dates is, let's see. I do think it's interesting that Jack states on 210, that middle black button, that's from Condor, saying Dale is the most inoffensive man. He ran a pretty tight ship on how does he know he's an inoffensive man, but that's my whole Dale analogy. Anyway, no, there's nothing here, but when it comes up later, there is going to be some things to match up between the pink box and what Forrest and Jack were saying and doing.
Okay. Next. Polar bear. Look out.
Okay. This you can tell is the meat of it because Forrest, we have very little by way of emails between Jack and Forrest. There's actually like a 2-month gap. I think he was using a different email address because he said that in his Condor post that you set up a second email and we didn't get those. But this is where it starts to get interesting. So there's going to be questions because Forrest now is specifically mentioning things like the treasure, stay home, but the treasure is in the same spot that I have put it in. You're going to see when we talk about details because then people start asking the website about it. Like it seems like Forrest is going out of his way to make sure that you're not legit. Now, this is interesting because Forrest never publicly talked about it. He did email me, but this was in June to come out hard against it, but he didn't want it coming from him, which I thought was interesting. Okay, so we can go over this this is like the bookends. We can go over this once we go over the details. We're going to go over the details of the pink box.
March 6, 2020, on Mysterious Writings, Forrest Fenn was quoted yesterday to have said that the treasure is still where he hid it 10 years ago. For me, it is just too much of a coincidence, Forrest saying that just days after you claim to have found the treasure. Apparently, Forrest does indeed know about your claim, but either doesn't believe you or has verified that the treasure is still there. And the answer is, to be honest, I can't give you an answer to that question. We never contacted Mr. Fenn as a response to our attorney's recommendation not to disclose any physical item or any verifiable knowledge to anyone at this time. The only way for Mr. Fenn to know would be if he or someone else on his behalf actually went to the location. As the treasure has been moved, he would have known it is not there. That still wouldn't confirm our claim to have found it, as a third party could theoretically have been involved. That is not the case, as we know, but there would be no way for you to know. I assume his statement was rather taken in a certain context than to be intentionally misleading. At the end of the day, the treasure was where he said it was. Well, sort of, with a smiley, winky face.
Sort of is in a different font. So the takeaway here is, Forrest, I agree with the question, the person that gave the question. I do think it's odd that Forrest is going out of his way to say, I think this was the March 4th, whatever he put out, scrapbook or whatever. The treasure has not moved from its location. Him saying that at that point, I mean, I guess he has a few other times, but really hasn't. I do think he's trying to debunk the
right,
site.
But he really wouldn't know. I mean,
he wouldn't know.
He wouldn't know. And didn't he tell you, K-Pro, since you're under oath on the witness stand, didn't he tell you to go hard against the auction website?
Yeah, that wasn't until June 12th.
Oh, until 2 or 3 months later.
Yeah, but by June 12th, we had 40 people stating they had the treasure chest. Give me attention. Who cares about this? Why this site over all the others?
And you know that everybody in the world, when they read the auction website, emailed Forrest to say, is it true? Is it true? Is it true? So he comes out and says it's still where I hit it.
Right.
But how would Forrest really know that? So,
Yep.
yeah, interesting. Okay, as we continue on. March 9th, 2020. Would you be available for an interview on our YouTube channel? And no, that was not me and Gabriel. That did not come from me and Gabriel. I mean, I just regarded this whole thing when it first came out. I never seriously looked at it.
I did too.
Remark, the question has been shortened and rephrased. Okay, would you be available for an interview on our YouTube channel? It is safe to say that if we came forward, we would expose ourselves to litigation. Our legal advisors don't see it necessary to support our claim with evidence, as any bidding is non-binding. We will show evidence only to those who are interested in a purchase after they have provided financial documentation to our legal team when it is time. Those who are not interested in a purchase should wait until we will either announce that the treasure, that is to say, the knowledge about the new temporary treasure location, has been sold, or that the chase continues, respectively. Our lawyers want to make absolutely sure no law is being violated and no unnecessary risk is taken or given. If it is sold, it would be up to the buyer to exercise his or her own best judgment and responsibility to comply with any law and to either provide or not provide evidence to the public. The sale will also include an NDA subject to penalty in regards to the privacy of the seller. Well, NDA makes me think of Justin. So when this whole thing came out, has anybody asked Justin? Did he inquire? Because he always, wanted the treasure chest, obviously.
So this week, I decided as I was building this, why not just ask Justin?
Yeah, why not?
Well, I asked Justin. He said he never contacted him. He's not them, but that's what he said.
Okay. 3 years later.
Because do you find it interesting that Justin was so on the fixation of finding the location, putting up trail cams, buying people's emails, all of that, but he doesn't care at all if he right now is done. He doesn't care if Jack was nudged. He doesn't care if Forrest was screwed. Maybe he already knows the answer. He just says he doesn't care. I can't see how.
All right. Suspicious. There we go. It's March 9th. Remark. As the admin running this website on behalf of the finders, I would like to point out that the security risk for the finders will increase with time, and they are not prepared to accept this risk. It is not only the value of the treasure, but the rising degree of moral and or legal entitlement some of the treasure hunters seem to feel based on their invested time, money, and effort. As you are aware, the finders have announced their intention to hide the treasure again if they can't sell it until August. What I am actually allowed to say is that the finders are very keen that the new hiding spot, if it becomes the path to go, will be accessible year-round without undue risk of hypothermia during the winter months. The information that this spot is below 5,000 feet elevation will become the first new additional clue. It still would require a searcher to use common sense. So let me make sure I understand that right. They're saying that if they can't sell it, and these people that say they find it, the finders, continue the chase so that other people can find it in the new location. They're saying it's accessible year-round without undue risk of hypothermia, and it's below 5,000 feet elevation. Do I have that right?
Yes. And okay. Do you think it's interesting, the beginning of the second paragraph? What I am actually allowed to say is the finders. So this one seems to be authored by the messenger guy, not the we finders guy, and not the I on the other one. So it does seem like he drafted this response. So it's kind of weird that it keeps jumping from website owner, one of the finders, the other one of the finders. One of the finders calls himself a we, one of them says I. So I think we have now 3 people writing some of these answers.
And then at the bottom, I also like to point out that only the individuals knowing the current location of the treasure are the finders. I personally have no idea at all, while the legal team has only knowledge about the state and the type of land it resides in order to do their work. That might not even be that might even be incorrect, as I am only informed on a need-to-know basis. Well, if this is true, and if we're going to say the auction website could be legit, you can't say there's no risk of hypothermia anywhere in Yellowstone, right? I mean, that
right. But what if the 4 stanzas, one of them takes you all the way down to New Mexico, then it takes you to,
Okay. So I guess, okay, I guess I was going about it the wrong way. When they said we've hid it in the same type of land, if it was national park, that means it's in a national park, but it doesn't have to be the same national park. They could have put it in a national park down in Colorado.
No, two different things.
What?
For during the sale over the next, they were taking bids for 1 year. They said we've temporarily relocated it in the same park. So Yellowstone, we've put it somewhere else in Yellowstone. If at the end of that year, now erase this side totally, and we're going to put we're going to retrieve it. We're going to add 4 stanzas, and we're going to put it anywhere we want.
Oh, I see. But yeah, that's right. It says the very queen that the new hiding spot, if it becomes a path to go. So if it's not sold by August, they're going to hide it somewhere. Oh, well, then that flip the coin to what I just said. They're going to hide it somewhere that is accessible year round with undue risk of hypothermia, meaning where they found it does have hypothermia and does have an issue with crossing a river, say, during the winter months. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. All right. Yeah. Another one toward maybe a yes. Maybe a yes. Okay, let's go. I read that the wrong way then. I took it the wrong way.
No, you found something I didn't. So good on you.
To those who insist the finders must provide evidence of the treasure, I can only respond that you are asking them to provide evidence for something for which even you have no evidence it even exists. Read that 3 times fast. In this situation, we cannot win. Either we are guilty for not providing proof of the solve, or we are guilty for letting people continue to put themselves into harm's way in order to find a treasure which has already been found and relocated. So please, whatever you do, pay attention to all safety recommendations Forrest Fenn and the authorities have given, and don't cause another rescue mission like the most recent one in Yellowstone Canyon. So
they're basically saying we're darned if we do, we're darned if we don't.
Yeah.
We provide you evidence. Well, why do you still have it out there? But if we don't provide evidence, it's a hoax. We're darned if we do, we're darned if we don't.
Billy Shaw's got a little Dan Barbarisi quote, our old friend Dan Barbarisi. I've seen that website, yes, and I will certainly say that it was more compelling than most of the things like that I've seen. That's about as far as I'd go with it, though. Okay.
So you keep reading. I'm going to... Hello.
Okay. Moving on to the next one. Again, thumbs up for the PowerPoint. Thumbs up for having this all in one video that you guys can rewatch and digest. And just thumbs up for Cowlazars. You know what I'm saying? All right. And thank you, everybody, for the super chats. We do appreciate it. It's been a long time since we had one of those. And March 9th, question. Why did you move the treasure to a different location and not take it home with you? Yeah. Why is that? And the answer, there is several reasons.
There are several reasons.
Yeah, there is several reasons. The most relevant is that we wanted to make absolutely sure whatever we do is legal before we take any action. Jack. The problem with whatever we do or even omit is the pending risk of a lawsuit and or attorney fees nobody is reimbursing. And yeah, I could understand them doing that.
Well,
so, yeah,
now that we know, remember when this is posted in March before anyone should know that the treasure was found in Yellowstone. So everything they're saying does coincide with it was on national park land and there's going to be some legal issues. Which you would almost assume the opposite because Forrest had always said, what if there is no legal issue? I bought attorneys and they did all this work for me, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. So. Yeah, that's interesting. The errors seem intentional for a person who also has a high command of vocabulary, using is instead of are, but later using words like omit correctly. So it's almost like two people.
Comment. That was Packer's comment.
Okay.
This is one of his slides.
All right. On the YouTube channel, A Gypsy's Kiss, a caller recently confirmed the treasure is not at the location anymore. That proves you right, doesn't it? And the answer, as much as we like the idea, Richard, it actually doesn't. We don't know the solve of this individual, and he or she might be right or wrong. This searcher can only confirm that on the perceived treasure location was no treasure. That location does not necessarily coincide with the location we found the treasure. Again, we like your support, but it doesn't prove us right. Yeah.
Okay, so Nemo said, do you think Shiloh really knows the truth about the website? Could the Fenn family be behind the website, not trying to start conspiracy theories, LOL? I don't think the family, I think the Fenn family had already had the meeting. We're getting to the point of the I think they use I'm not supposed to use the word the intervention. What do you say? The family meeting discussing alternative endings. They already gave their position of how they were going to solve this. So I don't think they're behind the site. I think they were taking different action if Forrest didn't comply, which I do believe he did eventually. Do you think Shiloh knows the truth about the website? Potentially. I think he might know in general, like the auction website was real or not real. I don't think he knows any of the particulars, potentially, unless he does. He just hasn't given us enough. It's kind of like verifying that escrow company that Rudy was saying. He's never showed us that he does know. So I'm going to assume, and since Forrest specifically said, I don't want my family involved, Shiloh does not know specifically. I'm going to side on that until I see evidence otherwise. Would it shock me, though, if Shiloh did come out with something that he is aware of something? I wouldn't be shocked, but right now I'm going to believe Forrest over any teasing that others would do. There's my long-winded answer.
Okay. Intervention, W says. All right. Traveler Joe says, seems like the auction website would be a pretty good alternative ending, especially when the website was cloaked by a law firm regarding the true ownership. Alternative ending. Oh, yeah, everybody lawyered up in this whole thing. Jack,
I think they're talking about
Forrest. Everybody lawyered.
No, Shiloh said when I said the word family intervention, he said, please use alternative endings. Family meeting with alternative endings.
And he's saying that would be a good alternative ending. I got you.
Yeah.
After hearing all the bad grammar and spelling errors in their letter, I remit my previous question about Jack being behind the auction website because Jack never makes spelling errors. Oh.
No. Oh, wait. Do you remember he signed his name wrong?
That's what Dan's making fun of.
Yes. Okay.
Proper Dan's comment. Yeah. Hang on. No. There it is. Okay. There you go, Dan. Ready? Okay. All right. Okay, let's move on. Richard. March 10th, would you accept Bitcoin? Well, that's obviously JCB. Would you accept Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency in order to protect the privacy of the seller? That was an interesting question, and accept our apology for taking our time to reply. They should have taken Bitcoin. Anyway, first of all, must you realize cryptocurrencies are not anonymous. Actually, the opposite is true. All transactions are forever visible in something called the blockchain. This makes it increasingly transparent ledger as technology advances. So the answer is probably a yes, but under this assumption that the payment starts and ends in a jurisdiction where the cryptocurrency in question is not illegal. Problem here is to establish the relevant jurisdiction with any degree of certainty. We therefore prefer to only pursue that option any further if we have to. He meant peruse, right?
I don't know. Let's see what it says down at the bottom. The errors
seem, it's the same thing. The errors seem intentional for a person who also has a high command of vocabulary. Typing pursue is like writing persistent or stoof instead of stoof, which is the misspelled word.
Yeah. Which I do have to say it's interesting that JCB is in a doc that goes over how it's not anonymous to be in Bitcoin. Queen eating.
Right. So I think somebody needs to take every misspelled word because it could be a code. And I'm only half serious, but I'm half serious. They could have done it intentionally for somebody to figure out some kind of a code or something. I'd put them all together, Kate.
You got your homework.
No, you have your homework.
I already did my homework.
March 12th. Are you running a scam, providing a wrong solve and having nothing in return for the money you are asking for? Even if the solve was right, you said yourself that the chest is not at the original location. You could just disappear with the money, just like D.B. Cooper. The answer, let me clarify that we will only receive the funds you provide after you have the treasure physically in your hands. Until that happens, the funds will remain in an escrow account or with an agreed upon third party, like a notary public or a law firm. Only if you and any expert for evaluation you might bring with you are happy, we would be able to receive your money. The basic function of an escrow service is to protect both parties. There's nothing to gain for us unless we can deliver on our promise. We have been contacted by quite a few concerned people around this topic, and sadly, our website analytics do confirm that only a minority of readers spend enough time on the page to fathom and digest the information we have given. To those with a vicious attitude towards us, please find out for yourself if you would have preferred us not making the announcement and causing you to search for something already long gone. So, I mean, the way they're doing it is right. I mean, it is legit when they're saying it's in escrow. You don't give us any money until you see the treasure. I mean, that part seems legit, doesn't it?
Seems like a very creative way to make sure they don't expose themselves. It's a clever little thing they've done here.
Copper Dan says, Jack also spelt persistent on my map. So he misspelled persistent as well as his last name.
Rudy says, have any searchers provided evidence of emailing these questions, or could they be made up? Turd did, right? The one that
I didn't know that. Did he?
Yeah, the one that says, thank you, Scott, blah, blah, blah. Turd said that was me. Turd outed himself. It wasn't me.
Well, he probably wanted to buy it if it was legit. Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting situation. All right. Regarding bids, please allow us to clarify that the minimum amount of U.S. Why does he keep saying MM? 2 million MM. Please allow us to clarify that the minimum amount of US 2 MM is the threshold for us to take your bid serious, and not the amount we accept in return for the treasure. It is common knowledge that the treasure is probably worth more than that based on the individual content itself. Well, that's funny in hindsight, isn't it? Let's assume you offer 2 million and there is no other bids. We will either negotiate with you in order to achieve a better outcome or decline your bid. You could compare that to an undisclosed reserve price and a minimum bid at an eBay auction. The treasure as a whole has additional intrinsic value based on its popularity and will only rise in value. There is also an amount at which we will accept your offer immediately and without exhausting the entire length of the bidding process.
Oh, MM is abbreviation for millions in finance. So if you're from the finance area. Ooh, really? We just narrowed it down.
An older guy in finance. There you go. Who could that be? It's probably Toby and Shelley.
Honey.
Regarding the bidding process, March 15th, 2020. In order to take your bid seriously, we expect you to actually make a bid. Just to express your interest in having a conversation is not a bid. A bid is a US dollar amount you are offering for the treasure. Preferably, you leave your phone details so our attorney can contact you to verify your credentials. This will only happen if we feel your bid is indeed serious and when we are approaching the end of the bidding period, unless your bid is exceptionally persuasive. Otherwise, we will go through the list on a schedule, starting with the most promising overture. Overture is a weird word to use. Why did you find the treasure and why did it take you so long? Everything is a matter of perspective, and it took us less time than to write a poem. It took us less time than to write a poem. Okay.
What? Okay, wait. Out of all the questions they're receiving, why did you find the treasure? What?
I think they meant how did you find the treasure, but yeah, I don't know. MM is Roman numerals for million. Well, that takes us to Xavier Marks. Anyway, all right. Okay. That's interesting. But who would use MM to say 2 million? That's interesting. March 21st, admin update. The last week has been extremely busy for our finders. It appears the money taken off the stock market recently needs a new purpose. We are able to announce that several interested parties have made confirmed offers thanks to our outbound marketing in different areas. It is too early to say if we are already in a situation where a sale is imminent. Outbound marketing in different areas. What does that mean?
Wait,
they were advertising it somehow?
Maybe. I don't know.
It appears the money taken off the stock market recently. What does that mean? The stock market.
Something was happening then. Is that when COVID? It was right when COVID was getting ready to crash the world, right?
Yeah, probably. Oh, yeah, that probably is. Yeah, you're right. That is around COVID.
Because it was July when I met with Forrest, and that's when they shut down the world, and then the strip was shut down and all that. So this is when like the economy was crashing because people weren't able to work and blah, blah, blah.
March 25th. Why did you not return the bracelet to Forrest? He wants it back. Do you know that? The bracelet, assuming it is part of the treasure for the sake of argument, meaning we neither confirm or deny it being part of it, is really just an instrument to be used to determine the status of the treasure. Any other part recognizable by Mr. Fenn would equally be useful to determine this status. We explained earlier why we decided against it. We have to admit, however, that when we were experiencing the first wave of excitement, and before we got better advice, we actually decided to visit Mr. Fenn with an item from the chest. some basic recon of the area, and not very surprising to us considering the obsession many of the searchers displayed in their habits, we found several trail cams hidden at tactically valuable locations. Now, this is March. You said Justin didn't do it till June?
A year from June.
A year, okay. We found several
right
trail
now,
cams.
we're 2 months before the find.
I got you. That's right. That's right. That means whoever meets Mr. Fenn cannot remain anonymous. Anybody with the ability to run a license plate can track the holder, and that wouldn't be good news. You are correct to assume that neither of us did this investigation in person. That was our first red flag, and we found more on the way to justify our behavior. Interesting. So that means where it was found has some trail cams set up.
No, no,
right?
no. They were going to, so this is how I took it. We decided to go visit Mr. Fenn. I'm
Right.
assuming at 1021 Old Santa Fe Trail.
Oh,
With
I
some
see.
basic recon, we found trail cams. Now, I will
Oh,
tell
yeah,
you,
you're right.
I will tell you today, I don't know during your visits, but Shiloh living there, he has those ring cameras set up on the outside.
I got you.
No,
Yeah, you're right.
They said it interestingly. They said, we didn't do this in person, but we confirmed that. Well, if you didn't do it in person, how did you do that? Did they do it with a, I don't know, like
They had somebody else do it for them.
yeah, which is weird to me because then more
Yeah.
people are going to know then, right? I don't know. This was
Yeah,
another,
that's interesting.
this is another one that made me feel like troll again. Like there's some good stuff and this one's just like, it doesn't even make sense. Or were they trying to send?
And what's interesting is they seem to infer that people have set up trail cams on Forrest Fenn Street to see who's visiting them. They say actually decided to visit Mr. Fenn, some basic recon of the area. Not very surprising to us considering the obsession many of the searchers displayed in their habits. So they're trying to say searchers could have set up webcams to know who was visiting Forrest.
Or secretly record with cameras and
Crazy
phones.
idea. Yeah, that's true. March 27th. Forrest said earlier this month the treasures where he left it 10 years ago. That means he has some way of knowing, and you are not telling the truth. Hi, Sarah. That's obviously Sarah Davis. Hi, Sarah. You don't have to take my word for it, but maybe Forrest Fenn's word will suffice. Please refer to what he said in 2015. You might argue that he may have changed his arrangement, but please note that he also said he never went back. This is the video of him saying he never went back, right?
Yeah, in 2015. And it doesn't click.
Okay, got it.
It's just a screen.
So
capture.
Forrest wouldn't know, in other words. Okay.
Right.
April 11th, 2020.
Hey, we're right now less than 2 months until the find announcement.
Gotcha. Admin update, April 11th. Unfortunately, more than half of the emails we're receiving are of abusive nature. I would like to emphasize that it would be pointless for me to forward them to our finders. Please accept that I will be the only person who will ever see them. The majority of those emails also claim to know the treasure location, which is entertaining. Shocker. Please don't let your ego rush you into the mountains while there is still snow and adverse weather to be respected. If you believe you know something, please be patient and do not risk your life. Also, make sure you respect the COVID-19 rules in place at the time of your endeavor. All right. April 13th. Only the finder should know the weight of the biggest nugget in the treasure chest. Could you give that number as only Forrest knows it? Only Forrest knows it to verify your claim. Thank you for your input, Andy, in order to try to resolve the issue of proof. To be honest, we don't know if Forrest Fenn ever made a note of the weight of individual items. Unfortunately, even if he did, that won't help either. As we explained earlier, for legal reasons, we require plausible deniability. The only reason to publish the weight of the nugget would be so Forrest Fenn could verify our claim publicly. That would not help with our deniability. Also, do we believe that it would be possible to figure out the weight of the nugget comparing coin size with nugget size? Oh, also, he's put do we, and it should be also we do believe that it would be possible to figure out the weight of the nugget comparing coin size with a nugget. We have no knowledge. They left out the D. We have no knowledge of all relevant pictures published online, and therefore we don't think this method would be convincing beyond reasonable doubt. It would be much easier to just tell Forrest Fenn privately the location where we found the treasure or present us all to the poem. Nobody knows that except those who made it to the location. It has been a while since August 2019, and there might have been others, which actually means that you might have discovered a flaw in the theory that knowing the location means having the treasure. Your suggestion is therefore worth mentioning as it discovers that the issue is more complicated than most searchers initially assumed. What do you think of that, Kate?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, they're going back to plausible deniability, legal reasons. It's interesting. Teresa asks again, if there is money in escrow, what is to stop someone from retrieving the chest and saying it wasn't there? I'm assuming they went with someone or they had it monitored or something. I'm sure there's more intricacies if this was true, and I'm still on the fence about it.
April 14th, you've chosen to adopt a Schrodinger's cat teaser in your marketing approach. Since that means your claim is both true and untrue until the box is open. That's pretty clever. Would it be wise for an interested party to ensure that the existence of millions of dollars purchase money remains both true and untrue right up until the chest is opened? Would you accept that they could bring, say, a $100 bill to the meeting where you bring a single item from the chest?
Well, isn't it funny that Forrest talked about they can bring me a $500 or $1,000 bill and put it in my mailbox? That whole thing during the private conversation. And there is one tuber out there that has done a show that references before this time Schrodinger's cat.
Schrodinger.
Schrodinger's cat. Guess who that is?
Oh, what YouTuber?
Smell the sunshine.
Yeah. Erwin Schrodinger, this is the answer. Erwin Schrodinger didn't say that the cat is both dead and alive. He rather pointed out that quantum theory and the real world are two different and not necessarily compatible realms. Widespread misinterpretation of his thought experiment by pseudoscientists made with the acceptance of quantum theory less popular with no avail. Comparing a Benjamin with an item from the chest is also not helpful, but it points out beautifully that having the bracelet doesn't mean having the chest. Like having a Benjamin doesn't mean you own the Fed. Isn't it funny that if the finder would disappear with the chest, even Forrest Fenn would be unable to prove that he ever hid it? What would you believe is true if the finder would get his solve approved by Mr. Fenn, but states that there was no treasure? Would you believe there was no treasure, or would you believe that more than one party made it to the location? At the end of the day, whatever you think is true will be true for you, like with everything else in life. Please also note that the way I referred to the finder was made intentionally to uphold the argument, even if you disagree with the claim. Yeah, that's a pretty smart response. And there were no misspelled words in this one. So
they go from misspelling, lots of grammar issues, to a pretty advanced thought.
Telling you the misspelled words are intentional. Somebody needs to make a list here.
You need to do that.
And there it is. April 22, 2020. Question. Well, there is no question.
Yeah, they omitted the question. They say why in a minute.
We feel the following video segment might provide an answer to some of you without revealing the question or to tip off the inquirer. This post includes a free link to watch the full movie titled Fake. And that's it? That's all they put?
Yeah, I know. Go one more slide.
Yeah, that's all they put.
Yeah, that's it. I have some commentary on that later because I've done a PowerPoint on this, so I just used my previous slides.
April 28th, you will have to provide proof of some kind before anyone will bite, even if it's one piece from the chest. Sounds interesting, Terry. Will any piece, misspelled, from the chest be sufficient? My understanding is that even for Mr. Fenn, one piece will do, pieces spelled properly. On the other hand, could anybody buy the chest and together with our story, or at least the solve, be able to present himself to Mr. Fenn as the finder? Well, that's an interesting thought. On the other hand, could anybody buy the chest and together with our story, or at least the solve, be able to present himself to Mr. Fenn as the finder? This in turn shall show that nothing and nobody could ever represent him herself as the real finder. Even we could have bought the treasure from a third party to flip it for more cash. So even presenting the whole treasure has its limitations. I can, however, assure you that the item we have chosen for initial verification is unique and leaves little room for speculation that it might not be part of the original treasure. The buyer will have the safety net of the escrow service and his or her own experts and appraiser before we would be entitled to even receive a dime. If the appraiser would advise, it should be advised, against the purchase, the buyer would still have the opportunity not to give the go-ahead. I admit that would leave us in a peculiar situation regarding the location being revealed. That is a risk we have decided to accept, but we have the faith of the treasure speaking for itself. Just remember what Forrest Fenn said about this very moment.
What do you think? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, now here's where it gets good. We're 1 month before the announcement, and they got a bidder.
Important update. Over the weekend, we received an offer for the treasure which exceeds all previous offers by a significant margin. The interested party deposited the funds already with a law firm on Monday. Part of the agreement with the buyer is another week of leeway for any potential buyer to come forward after today's announcement. We understand that a lot of emotions are involved with the issue, and another week might also give those a chance who don't have the funds but would be able to cooperate with others to make a group offer. Those parties have time until Wednesday. If no other confirmed offers have been made, until then, we will go ahead with the retrieval of the treasure at the most convenient time for the buyer. We would also like to point out that even if the treasure is not recovered immediately due to a variety of possible circumstances, we are still committed to the contract and cannot accept any more offers after next Wednesday, May 13th. The park was shut down for COVID until June, right? Unfortunately, will the agreement prevent us from releasing any details of the search for the treasure, which is very unfortunate. We therefore...
Unfortunately, will the agreement prevent... That's either a question... Okay, there's a typo there.
Yeah, the will shouldn't be there. Unfortunately, the agreement prevents us from releasing any details of the search. Right. We therefore have a vested interest in a last-minute buyer who would offer us this chance. However, can we not pass up this opportunity, as it seems very generous? On the other hand, comparing the treasure with art, any price seems reasonable, and maybe we would be better off having it on display in a museum, waiting for the value to rise. However, we do not have much trust in institutions, and the recent events in certain states don't help strengthen our confidence in the legal system. Recent events in certain states. I wonder what that was all about.
I think it's starting to go down because of COVID and all that.
Right. Traveler Joe, what if Forrest was a person who bought his own chest back?
That's actually possible in my mind. Not even laughing. It's possible.
What?
Yeah, curious, just wait till you get to the end.
And curious, sure.
See, this is turd. This is turd.
May 15th. Our offer still being accepted? I am sorry, Scott. No offers are accepted anymore as the ownership has been transferred to the buyer. As you mentioned it, we had Zoom Skype meetings held between legal team and interested parties almost daily for quite some time. I am glad this is over now. Remark, at this time, we cannot confirm or deny the removal of the treasure from its most recent location in order to minimize the success of possible tracing activity. At some random point in time in the future, we will officially announce the completion of the task. It may or may not be done at the time you read these lines. Not sure how to address the emotional impact the end of the chase might have on somebody, but it is safe to say that there will always be some kind of a chase in one's life to pursue for the better. There will always be a reason to roam the mountains and follow the rivers, be it metaphorically or literally. T.E. Lawrence once said, "Nothing is written," and Forrest Fenn would probably remind us that the mountains are still there. So they're saying they sold it May 15th.
Right.
Can't say if it's still there or not.
And they're saying at a random point in time in the future, we will officially announce the completion of the task.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So.
Scrapbook 249 on March. So this is May 15th. Now this is March 18th. Is that correct?
Right. This is so the auction website that we just went over was from March until right before the fine announcement in June. So now here's all the scrapbooks. Because we're going to do some comparisons in a minute, just like before. Okay. So we didn't really have any. This one, I think we have some comparisons to make. So keep going through. Click, just one every few seconds. This is these are the scrapbooks at the time. And then we have Condor coming up next. This is just so it's all in one spot. Really, it's maybe to help me more than anyone. And in case we need to reference it during the show.
The Eagle store, right? That whole deal. Madison River.
Bye, Greg.
All right, Greg. So, yeah.
These are the emails. So they're here. This is one about the Sexton death. Okay. So... is there any time? Okay, so basically on 3/27 is when Forrest says to Dale that he's considering calling off the hunt. This is right after the Sexton death, which is the same time that, Forrest is also saying it also hasn't moved. Other than that, I don't think there's any comparison points that, unless you see them. I'm kind of bouncing between the pink box to see if there's anything. I mean, the big one that we have coming up is on 5/15. They're saying it's over. We're going to announce it very soon. And it's only 2 weeks later that Forrest announces a finder found it. That's an interesting timing. So, okay, go ahead.
What do we have from Forrest post-find?
So we have 3 announcements. We went over this last week, so I won't go. I put them here. But we have the June 6th announcement. We have which says the treasure chest was found. Then June 16th by a man I didn't know, and he has some pictures of him in the bracelet. And then July 22nd, we agreed on Wyoming. Found in Wyoming are the 3 announcement time frames. And then we have a bunch more stuff, which I find really interesting. We're going to read this first one. And they basically say they're going to go away now. It's up to the finder. And then they continuously post after they say, we're done. It's now in the new owner's hands. And then they do the exact opposite. So next slide. Okay.
June 9th, 2020. So this is 3 days after the June 6th email Forrest sent out, right?
Yeah. So here's one little strange thing. And I do think it's just an anomaly. The person that sent me the screen captures from way back, that 3rd paragraph was not in his screen captures, but it was between 2 different screen captures that existed. So I don't know if that's just an omission inadvertently on his part, because he was like screen capturing, scrolling, screen capturing, scrolling, or if there's more to it. So I did want to note that, just because that's why there's not a green circle at the top. Okay, go ahead.
So is it possible that Jack or whoever bought it, but they had to wait for the park to open because of COVID to retrieve it, if they did rehide it somewhere in Yellowstone? Just like Jack says he had to wait for the park to open to go get it, even after he figured out where it was, type thing. I don't know. All right, June 9th. As many as you might already know, the happy new owner of the treasure chest has officially proven possession to Mr. Fenn, who in turn announced it to the world. We are not too unhappy about it, as we were receiving an uncomfortable amount of hate from searchers who didn't believe us. Even today, there are as many who argue that timing was pure coincidence. Well, it could be. I agree. We nevertheless don't regret the early announcement in March, as it might have prevented somebody from unnecessarily harm at that time of the year in the mountains. Probably not, but who knows? From now on, whatever is chest related is the sole discretion of the new owner. Please do not email any more questions to us. The owner of the chest will decide from now on what information is being released on his own terms. If you want to get more information or get in touch, contacting Mr. Fenn would be the correct way to establish any kind of communication. You might want to respectfully wait until the dust settles, though. Regarding the Q&A, we decided to stop answering any more chest-related questions, not to jeopardize anything the new owner is going to plan for the future. We are receiving a ton of questions, more than ever, actually. However, please direct them to those who are in charge of the situation now.
So basically, they're going off the factor that Forrest just announced it on the 6th. And they're saying, we're not answering anything more. So this should be the last entry on the auction site. Oh, wait, they want the spotlight more. They want to look trollish. They want to, I don't know what, but they continue, and you're going to see lots of updates after the fact, after they say specifically, this is up to the guy who got it. Got it.
So no, Michael is not me. Michael, regarding your interest in the website, I'm not sure what to tell you. You certainly can make an offer, but I'm actually not sure who should own or use it in the future. So this guy wanted to buy the website.
Yeah, I think so.
I guess we can handle it the same way as a treasure chest. We had a 5-figure offer a few weeks ago from a gentleman who didn't believe us, but has said it would be of high value to him if the treasure was found. Not sure if he will still be interested if the owner decides to stay anonymous with no story to tell, or at least not the missing part of the story. There's also countless other stories to be told from those who accomplished some parts of the journey, and even all the other solves which came to a dead end. We only purchased the domain name when we decided to go public, with no realization it could be an investment. I guess to be fair to everybody, I think we should give it some time so the most suited person has a chance to come forward. Michael, I'm sorry not to be able to answer any of your many other questions, but if you could give more details of the project, that would be appreciated. I guess it all depends on what the owner is going to do. To all who have participated in the chase, we wish you all the best with your future adventures. There will be other treasures waiting to be found, and the last time I checked, even the whereabouts of the Ark of the Covenant was still unclear. At this time, we feel it is still our spot, too. And who knows? That might never change. We left something. We left something. So if you find the spot, you will know. And by the way, it will cover your expenses if that is what you thought. Leave us a note as we will be around. No need to make extra arrangements.
So they left something. They didn't say it was from the treasure. I think the treasure was whole. So they left something at its spot.
They left something at the original spot or where they moved it to?
I think the original spot.
Okay.
Because you'll see as they continue to talk, even though they say they're not going to. And this is actually about them. Will somebody buy? And this is like some other people that I was offered billions of dollars for this or that. There's no way they were offered 5-6 figures, whatever they said for the website. I'm sorry. Like, this makes them trollish to me.
So the new owner, this is from Traveler Joe. So the new owner purportedly bought the chest for $2 million and ends up selling it and making half that amount back. There's only one person to chase it would do that, Forrest Fenn. Well, no, we know that Justin bought it from Jack for how much, K-Pro? 800?
920,000.
Now, I don't think the website is saying they got $2 million. I don't think the website ever actually admitted how much they actually got. They just said they have an offer that was attractive. So who knows what they actually, if any of this can be believed. Who knows what they actually sold it for? If this site is legit, then it appears Jack bought it from them.
But you do have to remember Justin's original bid was like 1.6 or 1.8 million. It's through all the entity craziness, all of that stuff that made it come down in last minute negotiations. That's a crazy story of why it was actually a little over $1 million. And then who had to pay for a couple things. The new lawyer got Jack to foot the bill. So it was like 1.8 at the beginning.
That would explain why the family had so much say in who Jack sold it to. Rudy Green says, is it time for me to reveal the emerald ring? Easy, Rudy. You don't want to get red buttons. Easy. All right. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, we still got more. More. We're not done.
We left something. If you find
they left something there.
June 11th. It's probably a Forrest Fenn searcher coin, obviously. June 11th, 2020. Ever since Mr. Fenn announced the hiding of the chest, there were voices suggesting he was a fraud. Those voices became the main theme recently, and I would therefore like to add my 2 cents.
Yeah, the people that said they're going to go away and not talk about this anymore, they can't help themselves. Go ahead.
I will, for the purpose of this exercise, ignore mentioning to have seen the treasure with my own eyes, but hey, I could be a fraud. I could be a fraud either. Again, it's worded weird.
Okay, this is the dumb one. The dumb one and the smart one. This is the dumb one because half of them are eloquent, half of them are dumber than rocks.
It almost seems like maybe English isn't his first language, but
oh, that could be it.
Whenever a crime is committed, there is motive. Motive is the wind in the sails of the perpetrator. Without a motive, most crimes or even most activities would never happen. Let us again, for the exercise, ignore the first part of the story, which is his claim that a treasure was hidden and can be found using the poem or the book-poem combination. What we need to focus on today is what possible gain could be achieved by announcing that the chest was found without providing evidence. Wouldn't a fraud as articulate as Mr. Fenn have a more believable story than just saying there's nothing to show and the owner wants to keep his cover? Wouldn't he be better prepared after all these years and anticipation of this obviously very unsatisfying announcement? Yeah, he's saying if the whole thing was fake, Forrest would have a cover story. It wouldn't have ended the way it did.
Yeah, but do you find it interesting that first Forrest was obviously saying something that directly basically called this site a fraud, like it hasn't moved, etc. Then they said they're going away, and now they can't help themselves, and now they're defending Forrest. It's just weird too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
When we are looking for a possible fraudulent motive for this announcement, we struggle. If he was a fraud, what gain was really achieved by this disclosure compared to the more obvious choice to just take the secret with him for all time, making him immortal? The way he acted did not provide any gain for him. One might argue that he wanted to avoid further casualties in case the search goes on for centuries, as nobody would find a treasure which never existed in the first place. That is unlikely, as he was asked before to end the hunt, which he refused. He also is a man who fought in a war for his country, whatever you might think about the war 50 years later with all of us so damn smart. He's one of the apparently old school guys who do not take freedom and wealth for granted and who know that a high price was paid to get where we are today as a society. He knows there is always risk involved when you do meaningful things, and those who are unable to acknowledge that do not really deserve to harvest the achievements.
Okay, a couple comments from chat. The different authors of the auction site read like different authors of the Sophie D handle. Okay, I know that name because Sophie D knows Vertigo, and Vertigo and Rudy are really close. They're all from Tennessee, etc. But I don't know what that means. With Sophie D multiple people? I'm just interested as an aside. K-Pro, why does the finder feel compelled to validate Forrest? If you found the chest, there would be no reason. Again, this is Fenn. Oh, okay. You're saying because the finder is Fenn. Fenn is saying go put that back up there. I see. I don't know if I'll go that far, but I understand your point, good sir. Okay, go ahead. I'm so beyond all of this. Tigger, hang in there. Or I don't know if you mean like, well, anyway, keep going.
There is a quote which should be a warning to all of us pushing the wrong agenda. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. So whoever might think that the risk of roaming the woods looking for a treasure is too much of a risk should not forget what strong men and women have done for our society. So the complainers and keyboard warriors have a warm house from which they can judge the world. If you don't want to die in the woods, just stay home. I see a lot of motive for a fraud to come up with a story about a treasure to provide a legacy. I do not see any motive for a fraud to taint his legacy by letting everybody it should be leaving, by letting everybody high and dry if that's what your feelings are. Be reasonable and always look for a motive. Most things do not happen haphazardly. Most things happen for a reason. Please cut the man some slack and be respectful. Okay.
See, when you use cut some slack, that's a slang term, but the typos are because he's a non-English person. No,
right.
I just think he's dumb.
June 16th, please allow us to make the following statements. Important. This website is not owned, operated, or otherwise used or controlled by Forrest Fenn. For messages to Mr. Fenn, please use his email address or his other means of contact. We are not taking responsibility for any lost messages or anything caused by Mr. Fenn not receiving those messages. Important, please do not send us your solves. We will not confirm or deny anything regarding the poem, the clues, or the location. As a matter of fact, we would highly recommend not to talk or write about your solve as you might need it in the future. This would be particularly important if you have an incomplete solve.
What does that mean?
You might need it in the future.
Yeah, and why do you need to solve in the future? And especially important if you have an incomplete solve. What does that mean?
Yeah,
why is it important if you have most importantly, if you have an incomplete solve? Why? Because there's a second part to this? I don't know. Again, this is more confusing than ever.
To those who have sent us kind words and congratulations, thank you to all of you. It feels good to have some emotional support. Almost all your messages are actually very positive now, and that means more to us than you can imagine. We feel we are part of the community, but outcasts at the same time. We really miss a world in which we would have been able to just come forward and celebrate the right solve. For most of us, working on and solving the riddle and being part of the community was the part worth our time rather than the small chance of actually finding the treasure for the sole purpose of making money. Now, when he says for most of us, is he talking about the finders? That means they are part of the community.
I would say most of us in the community. But
right.
Here's what stood out to me. A week ago, they were getting so much hate. And now all of a sudden, in 1 week's time, post-fine, when we were all really happy not to hear that, in a week's time, it went from really negative to really positive. But now the people emailing are giving emotional support. They need emotional support.
Yeah, I don't know.
What? Like this one again, just, I don't know.
There's a message for you there, K-Pro.
Oh. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Let's hear it.
I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm dumb too. Schrodinger? Schrodinger.
They would be dying to tell their story right now with all the Netflix stuff coming out. You think they would want to tell?
Wait, they haven't shut up yet. We have more.
What? Wait, there's more. Thumbs up for more, everybody.
Well, I mean, this is when they've said now they've gotten emotional support. So now they're going to keep talking. Now that everyone's turned positive, everyone believed the auction site. We're all happy with them. They've gotten the emotional support to get out of the downtimes they had. okay, if we believe that bullshit, let's keep going.
Thumbs up for me losing my voice, everybody. On a more trivial side note, we would like to address those people who call this website a scam because we only purchased the domain name in late February. That is very funny because it could imply that we should have bought the domain name earlier in joyful anticipation of the find. With so many other searchers looking for the same treasure, assuming to be the lucky ones, would have been absurd. In our opinion, the only other valid reason to buy this domain name in anticipation of a future event would have been planning for a scam. The same twisted logic has been used by those who dismissed earlier claims for the correct solve, with the suggestion that the only person eligible to confirm the discovery would be Mr. Fenn. Now, he made his statement, and nevertheless, many dismiss his word, demanding more proof. This indeed is a comedy on a professional level. From our perspective, the situation simply developed to a point where we, though it was time to thought, it should be, he's missing a T. From our perspective, the situation simply developed to a time where we thought it was time to make an announcement. We were looking for the most appropriate domain name and bought it. Simple as that.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
Wait, just go back one. So they announced it. They got it sold. They have $2 million. We're leaving. Oh, wait, we have to come defend Forrest. Oh, wait, thank you for the emotional support. So many positive things. Now we're going to go into trivial discussions about buying the domain name, and we're being called a scam, and it's hurting my feelings, so I'm going to give a long explanation with a bunch of typos in it. This is when it leads me back to, if you got your $2 million to run and ran, why are you coming back? It seems like maybe an obsessed searcher that can't go. Maybe it was one of the 40 people that said they had the treasure chest. I don't know. There's something. This is giving it less credibility.
K-Pro, you're exactly right. Why are they continuing to push a narrative after they've already sold the chest? It makes no sense for someone who wants to stay anonymous.
Right.
Okay.
And they're kind of all over the board as well. We're getting so much hate mail. Wait, we're getting so much emotional or so many positive things. Nobody was positive a week and a half after the find. We were all saying it was a bunch of crap that we didn't get to know the answers. And come on. Now, Toby did come out at this time. I was like, I think it's the auction site. Maybe because one person validated them. I don't know. Okay.
Those who try to make selling or buying a treasure a matter of possible tax evasion, please note what Mr. Fenn has previously stated in the context of the ownership issue. What if there is no legal question? We all know that U.S. citizens have to pay taxes regardless where the money was made, inside or outside the country. For legal entities other than U.S. citizens, this doesn't necessarily apply. Certainly, Mr. Fenn has acted wisely to make things easier, but those precautionary actions were by no means exhaustive. And the only option finder, seller, or buyer could facilitate in order to not pay or to pay less taxes. The key is to find out under what circumstances you owe taxes to whom. Certain jurisdictions have a more favorable view on what has to be paid and when than others. But those facts most certainly don't make it illegal to avoid paying taxes. If you are unhappy with the legal system, speak to a representative to change the system. However, in the context of the Forrest Fenn treasure and how the transaction was specifically designed, U.S. tax law certainly doesn't apply. Architects are not exclusively found among poets. U.S. tax law does not apply.
Yeah, like Puerto Rico. I guess Puerto Rico is officially U.S., but it does have a tax exclusion. This actually gives more credibility now because that's exactly. But they said Mr. Fenn acted wisely. So with the whole tax law things, Forrest gave a gift tax exemption. Actually, Forrest and Zoe did, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So did they have insight to what was happening? Because that's what was happening with Jack. So now this makes me lean back. What do you think?
I don't know what to make of this.
Okay.
They're just going into all these details. Yeah, they didn't need to. So why do they keep
coming out? Maybe to validate themselves? I don't know.
Yeah, this is June 19th. So Meryl, this was June. Well, when did Forrest? It wasn't June 6th. Forrest showed it the next week,
June
maybe
16th.
June 16th. So
yeah,
3 days later. Yeah. It ain't over till it's over. Those who want to keep solving the riddle, I want to encourage to keep on going. There is nothing more satisfying than doing it by yourself. Anybody else telling you the solution wouldn't be the same. I can provide a little hint, which is not really news or a secret. It is part of the poem and part of the most recent public picture of the chest. Remember Mr. Fenn's words. It is interesting to know that a great number of people are out there searching. Many are giving serious thoughts to the clues in my poem, but only a few are in tight focus with a word that is key. What he doesn't explain what he's talking about.
So, I mean,
a little hint.
He's saying, look at the picture. There's a freaking key on the picture.
Right.
But this is the guy that said, we're leaving this totally up to the finder. We're not going to say another word. Wait, we got emotional support. Wait, we got the. Now they're coming out like this doesn't.
So I think he's trying to say the word is key, but what does that have to do with the chest? It doesn't help you find the chest. I don't get it.
Well, he found it. You didn't. How do you know?
Oh, there it is. There it is. I just leave it up to your imagination, but if you still don't see it, it might be time to move on. And you underlined it, right?
Yeah, because I don't know.
Proper.
Yeah.
That's actually proper.
I think you needed a comma there, but anyway.
I just leave it up to your imagination, but if you still don't see it, it might be time to move on. Joe, regarding your own little treasure hunt, please let me know if you want me to link your booklet or post something else on this website. Please include something from your email, like your favorite spot, which you mentioned, so I can verify it as you if you decide to give it a go. So now he shows a close-up picture of the key and the stick?
Yeah.
Only a few are in tight focus with a word that is key. Yeah, what does that mean?
Means the answers are in the stick? I don't know. K-Pro, with all these unanswered questions, makes me wish McCracken would have subpoenaed Jack and his emails regarding his involvement in finding the treasure. He did, but they did not subpoena Google, so they just took the sworn word of Zoe that all of them were provided between Jack and Forrest up until June 6th, between Dale and Forrest, and between me and Forrest. And I'll leave that at that. What date did the Jack and post tax stuff, and when was the site updated? What date did Jack in post tax stuff? Okay, go to the. We're going to need to go to the colorful slide for that, Huli. So remind me. Okay, go. Okay, they can't shut up, so they're going to keep going because they've said they're walking away, and it's up to the person who purchased it for $2 million, but they won't shut up. Go ahead.
Well, all the attention they got, probably all the emails they're getting. June 21, 2020. A positive way to look into the future is to build on what we've learned on the way. Shouldn't we see Mr. Fenn as a trailblazer and a trendsetter of a new way to explore our surroundings? Humans, like any other living thing, need purpose rather than idleness. It is programmed into our genes to require a person to do what we do. We do need some kind of a hidden treasure, a hidden purpose to explore our neighborhood, our country, our world, and beyond. We don't need to find treasure itself, as many have stated, but we need the belief it is there, waiting for us in case we choose the right path and make the right choices. There is an Indiana Jones in most of us. We all want to be in charge of our own destiny. Mr. Fenn gave us a decade of dreams and purpose, and he wants us to carry on living his legacy. He's shown us the way in which we should walk and the thing we should do. To borrow a quote from just another book not mentioned in important literature, now it is up for us to find our way. Yeah, Billy Shaw's got an interesting point. Is it possible that this is whoever took over after they originally said goodbye? Like this is the person who bought it that's posting now. Would they have given them over to the website? Would they have given the website to the person? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I would have thought they would say that, but that is an interesting comment.
Yeah. You could still work on the poem to find out what was left at that special place. But whenever you call it a day, there is other treasure hunts out there. When we are honest to ourselves, we realize the treasure is just an excuse for being a kid again. Like fishing the river or walking the dogs is an excuse to be out in the open. We need the mystery of the unknown and want to discover. We want to compete and socialize, and we had some very good times. We all know the little girl from India couldn't make it past a certain point in the riddle without boots on the ground, but now she could participate in the Golden Oyster treasure hunt in the UK. Oh, this is the guy with the booklet. There's an armchair treasure hunt. You can join from the comfort of your home. Proceeds from the booklet available for a small fee, blah, blah, blah. 6 questions with Joe Bartley and Mysterious Writings. Was that ever solved, the Golden Oyster treasure hunt in the UK?
I don't know.
The best thing, there is no need to look over your shoulder contemplating about the white van following you since far too long, or try to find out what made that little twig break in the middle of the night so far away from your car. No need to dampen the cocking sound of your best friend in the sleeping back because something is outside your tent. What the hell? Where nobody should be around for miles. If you don't like oysters, no need to be ashamed of being in it for the money. Okay.
So, like that paragraph, best thing, does he take a hit of cocaine, fentanyl, Molly, whatever the word, and like he writes a weird sentence because he's like tweaking? And then what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Or is it a super huge hint that we're all supposed to figure out because this is legitimate?
Teresa with the comment. So it was bought for $2 million, sold for a little over $1 million, and Shiloh said that he was $1 million in the hole. Interesting. Could Shiloh have found it and sold it without Forrest Fenn's knowledge? I don't know. It's possible. Probably not. Well, if that's the case, then Shiloh really does have the answers, if that's actually what happened. What if Shiloh knows who's behind the website or something? I mean, that could be
You
fun.
have asked me not to comment about Shiloh, and now
you're not allowed
to.
I can. You're not allowed to.
I'm not. If you don't stop that allowed to thing,
now you're muted. All right. You're not allowed to mention Shiloh.
I'll get the couch ready, my friend.
If you don't like oysters, no division. Okay. Amazingly, we only got one email complaining about the scruffy condition of the chest. We will leave Mr. Fenn's well-known statement regarding whether it was buried or not without comment. We will not comment on whether we might have buried it or not, or when we relocated it. We will not comment on or whether we buried it or not when we relocated it. But it is certainly possible that we might have been in a rush and not been very careful. That's all I will say. Apologies for that. The other question regarding the buyer is also somewhat difficult to answer. We don't know the buyer as he was represented by his or her attorneys referring to him or her as the buyer. Statistically, it would be most likely that the buyer is a Caucasian male in his early 50s. But hey, what do we know? Regarding the metadata of the pictures, we are surprised that anybody would assume those would not be edited before publishing. Not sure if this question was meant to be a joke. Nothing would be what it seems regarding metadata, so whatever you see right now or in the future will have been subject to manipulation. Don't ever assume just because metadata point to a certain location or person, you can take it at face value. If somebody picks up your coffee mug and leaves it at the scene of a crime, there might be your fingerprints to the location. It doesn't mean you did it. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, wait, before you go on, that is exactly how Jack responded to the metadata question of those pictures, but keep going.
About the coffee mug?
No, he just said, I took a picture of a picture basically to make sure there's no metadata once I got out of the location it was.
Trails might actually be trap lines and mountaintops or vantage points. We did talk about planning 4 additional stanzas, but we never contemplated openly how those would be published. It's like a race against somebody writing a book. Once the book is on the shelf, it cannot be unseen. Time is on nobody's side. What have you got for me? I don't know what that means.
Okay, what is it? So I see PM Castle Blue NGIT. I tried to anagram the hell out of that, and I couldn't get anything out of it. What is that?
I took it to mean that's a person, a screen name that asks them a question about something. But again, PM Castle Blue NGIT. I don't know. Anybody got anything? Castle Blue NGIT? Anybody?
Yeah. So, and this is a thing about, go back one. This is the thing about once the book is on the shelf, it cannot be unseen. The whole like Fishing Diaries 2.0 on the shelf.
Yeah, that's true.
There was a little bit of that.
Little something there in your face.
Yeah.
Right. To throw the case.
So this was, I think it was Hooli or Mama Q. Somebody asked a question about what was on the, okay, this is the 4 pictures that were at the top or the bottom. And then there's one more. Next slide. So this will become important because there's Mount Rushmore up above. And this was what was at the top. I don't know why I didn't put it at the very beginning. I just put the border at the end because this will become important with Mount Rushmore in a second. So next slide. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go, this is the June 6th announcement. Next slide. And then the June 16th announcement. And then keep going. And this is what was announced originally, just in case you want to go back and have it all in one reference point. Okay, you keep going as I read. Traveler Joe, Cowlazars, who would find the chest go to all the trouble to try to sell it. And then if they didn't sell it, just say, oh, well, we're going to hide it again and walk away from the money. Yeah, that's interesting. Like their plan A is $2 million. Their plan B is, oh, we'll just add 4 stanzas and do it ourselves and make no money.
Well, they did say they were going to keep the gold coins and sell the gold.
Oh, that's true.
That's not $2 million, but so they get something out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Condor. Everybody
Yeah.
can look that up themselves.
No, see, it's all in one. Okay. This was the one from before. So what was happening time-wise? So we do have the June 16th, June 19th, and they put the picture on their website. And then they just keep going with all of these different questions and answers. And the last one was just, it's like they wanted to get the last word. Forrest put out on July 22nd, and they put out on the 24th. So, I don't know. Okay, so that was all factual information. Let me give you a little bit of extra little something. Randy, we were waiting for you. We won't get off live until you came and say hello.
We are still live, Randy.
2 hours.
We are still alive. That's true.
Okay, keep going. We're towards the end. We're towards the end.
You know what this reminds me of, Christy?
What?
Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. You know the reference?
Yeah, but I don't know from where. Was that a Saturday Night Live skit?
Of course it was, yeah.
Okay, of course, because that's your mecca, your
All right.
favorite.
Sexton dies on 3/21. Forrest posts Willie is retarded on 3/23.
Keep going.
Oh, read these?
Mm-hmm.
The Condor 2 posts 5 posts on 3/24 trying to find out if it was an actual search or death. Condor 2 does not post for 10 days after that 5th post confirming Sexton was a searcher. The auction website posted on 3/25 and 3/27. The auction website does not post for 12 days. Well, that's interesting. When Condor went silent, the auction website went silent at the same time.
Yep. Credit Packer Jack.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that Packer Jack. He's a smart cookie.
Packer Jack. Is he not in the chat?
I don't think so. And I think this came from Packer Jack, but I think Ryan Bavetta did one too. So, okay. So look at the left and look at the right. So Condor, chest found fall of 2019. Auction, where we know that Jack found it in fall of 2019. And the auction site said this was in March, it was found in August of 19. Coincidence? Jack went to Santa Fe in April from the ping data. The auction site supposedly went to Santa Fe, but left because of the cameras. Coincidence? Puerto Rico status, there's proof of it. The website relaunches February of 2020. So he relocates in January and sets up the auction site in February? Infrequent postings after January. Infrequent posts exclusively on days that the auction site does not post. There's not an overlap between the two. And there's a 10-day posting gap after the Sexton death. So the posts look to be exclusively on days Condor does not post. So he's either one or the other. 12-day posting gap as well. Chest retrieved June 5th, 6th. The auction site says auction's ending May 15th. That's a pretty close timeline. Condor starts using a VPN software. The website was taken down. So I've heard it's back up, though, or parts of it. I think that's what you said, Ryan, but correct me if I'm wrong. So it's interesting because everything moves over to VPN and, not traceable, leave no trace kind of thing. Okay, next slide.
Jack never publicly spoke out on the website, but he did with Bavetta. All right, so this is emails between Ryan Bavetta and Jack Stoof.
Yeah. So Ryan, it's kind of confusing because it's in the middle. Gotta ask, did you message these folks when the site was up? Did you participate in the auction? He's saying it's a troll site. You can read the top one because it's kind of small for me.
Jack says on 6/3/2021, I think it's a real stretch to call a troll website like that smart. If they think the treasure could have been stuck up George Washington's nose at Mount Rushmore, they should have done some basic research into this treasure hunt first. I can't put a rumor to bed if people insist on being trolled, Ryan.
Well, and here's what so during the time that we have all these Condor posts, if someone posts that their blaze is da-da-da, he's going out of his way to destroy them with, that's not, that could be removed or whatever, some quote of Forrest. He talks about you and me, Mike. He talks about other tubers. Basically, he's blowing up anyone that is trying to say they're the lead searcher, because it's him. He's the lead searcher now. He even blew up the term lead searcher, but he never commented on the auction site when Toby is saying, it's legit, let's look into it. He never commented on it ever on Condor. Do you find that just interesting?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Okay, next slide. Okay, this is from a previous show. Rudy, be ready. Go ahead. So we go back to this fake. This came from Cracker Jack's slide. So go to the next slide. So the auction site, the question itself is not mentioned, but the word makes some sense. The question is not provided. They do not want to tip off the inquirer. So they took out the question. Why would they take out the question? I don't know. This is where it was previous. Go to the next slide. This one doesn't matter. Okay. So if you look specifically at the 12-minute mark, these forgeries, they're con men, they're true geniuses. It's all about Dehories. His story says to me, because of Dehory and a few other forgers in the last few centuries, close to 30% are privately owned art are fakes. I know you don't like me to talk about Shiloh, but Shiloh did say searchers only know 30%. Could this be a reference? Because, next slide. So we have a couple of parallels. The auction website posts no questions, but an answer to this link to the fake movie. We know the 30% is referenced by Shiloh. The question was not provided on the auction site because it said we don't want to tip off the inquirer. Who would the inquirer be they don't want to tip off? The answer was very specific. Perhaps this was a message to Forrest. Could it have been Forrest or Shiloh inquiring? I don't know. Next slide. Let's bring it all together, though. So, Fake by Clifford Young. Next slide. This is from Treasure Warriors from the beginning. When Shiloh said, next slide.
Giving credit. Go ahead.
So, if you remember, I bought this book because first we thought it was, Shiloh said to Brandon that this book is important. So this book specifically goes over the life of Dehory as a forger. The movie was based on this book. The book is also the CIA, talks about Dehory, CIA, all of that, because he talks about the book author is also CIA as well. Next slide. So the auction site gives a link to the movie Fake. Oh, wait, I already went over this.
Yeah.
One more slide.
Okay.
Oh, okay. The Emerald Ring. Since so, is there a connection there? Maybe. I mean, Shiloh did reference that book. Maybe he does know more than nothing he's given us so far. Emerald Ring.
Also, that's not a picture of an emerald ring, by the way.
I know it's a ring. Come on.
All right.
You can do PowerPoints if you want. Go ahead. Now you get to read this.
During a meeting between Cynthia and Zoe, Zoe stated the family has the emerald ring. Shiloh stated in March 2023 during drinks with Cynthia that he will be clarifying about the emerald ring when he comes out later this year. That doesn't sound right. When he comes out later this year. The only items from the Thrill
5 years from now. Sorry.
That's not what I meant. The only items from the Thrill of the Chase that was not in the chest at sale was the emerald ring. You shouldn't trust us based on what we claim. If you want to make a bid, you can go ahead anytime without having to prove that you have the funds available either. Only when the bidding list is complete, we will go top from bottom with the highest bid. We will contact you to make an appointment. We'll bring you one item you will recognize from the book as well as some recent pictures. The emerald ring picture is in the Thrill of the Chase book?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't remember. All right.
No, that's bringing an item. Did they keep one of the items? Emerald ring's gone. Next slide.
So now I have to shock the community with the mystery of the missing emerald ring.
That's from Candy.
Okay, from Candy. Credit Candy. I know a little about a lot, and the fate of the Emerald Ring is not one of them, Shiloh says.
So a lot has been focused on Shiloh saying he's going to correct whatever, and does his mom own it or not? How does he not know the fate of the Emerald Ring? If his mom says she has it, like she stated, he might not know if it's with his mom or his sister, but I don't know. Okay, keep going.
Emerald
These are just
Ring.
little connections.
Rudy, oh Rudy.
This is from a previous PowerPoint. Rudy found the
log.
Yeah, you got
Rudy found the stick. Rudy was the one who, in part, discovered Condor. Rudy was a 9-mile hole OG on Thor. Rudy says he likes to drop Easter eggs to help people figure out the ending. What is Rudy's latest Easter egg?
Now, this was from like a year ago, so this was the latest Easter egg found at that time. Next slide.
The fake movie is all about one painting in the end. And Rudy happens to have a copy of that painting, or maybe the original, on his wall.
Oh, he says it's like from Ross and it was a coincidence.
Rudy.
That's your real
Credit
name.
Mama Q, giving credit.
Okay, next slide.
Rudy's possible connection. The earliest video he has the painting was posted on his wall June 13th, 2020. Yet Rudy's YouTube started April 24th, 2019, the same time as the auction site domain purchase, same month, same year. Rudy did suggest early on he was the actual finder, but later states he was just kidding type of thing. Rudy did tell me personally he knows the owner's identity of the auction site, and the sheer dates alone match, so he cannot discount it. WSOF 2023. Actually, isn't this what you and him got into it about earlier this year, that he says he didn't say that? Or
yeah, so he's pulling a Matt DeMoss and got demolished later, Matt did, about being a liar. So Rudy tells me at WSOF he knows who it is. He later says on Discord or wherever, he never said that. Then he comes to dinner with all of us. Cynthia and Mike were there, and he said, yeah, I had to say that. I know I lied, but I didn't want it out that I know who the auction site owner is. I'm like, but dude, if you call me a liar, that's not cool. Like, just don't say it. But when you call me a liar, I'm going to call you out for it. And he smiled. He does this little smile thing and he plays it off. He's very, I don't know what the right word is. He's very, he has a very pleasant disposition. He's not offensive. He's a great guy when you meet him, but he called me a liar. And then he says he's sorry privately to me. I said, put that post publicly. He said, no.
Mama Q, on behalf of all shouting the auction website from the rooftops in 2020 and told to shut up, we accept all apologies. There you go, Mama Q.
Well, I haven't gotten to the point of was this worth the exercise? I don't know. I guess I should I'll accept everyone's thank yous for going over this, because let's get to the very end. And was it worth it, not worth it? I don't know.
An important part of Fake the movie. How did the forger get caught in this movie? I haven't seen the movie. He left a signature, a symbol, a very, very small signature in all of his paintings, paying tribute to his love. In the movie, there's the link if anybody wants to type that out and go to it, see it for yourself. And it's a little star shape.
Yeah. So that's how they find the forgeries. That's the only difference. He was that good. Okay. Where else have we seen a star in a certain position? Go to the next slide, Mike.
Oh.
And look, it's a redhead. It's Rudy.
Look at that smirk on his face. All right. Credit.
Rudy, I don't know. I put him around 40. He's pretty young, really smart, and he's a redhead. This is Rudy.
Stop. Yeah, exactly, K-Pro. Stop it.
Okay.
Condor.
Wait. No. Stop. Go back. Those were extra slides if we needed it.
Oh, is that it? The stop is the mean stop?
The stop is no more.
My voice can't take anymore. Well, it is a very well put together PowerPoint. Thank you for everybody else that Christy did give credit to. She put it all together, trying to make it easier to digest. Or Ed Sheeran, that could be. It does kind of look like Ed Sheeran. All right. Yeah. What I thought before you showed it is Once Upon a While had the star too on the cover.
Oh,
It
yeah.
had stars. That's what I thought of before you went to that. Okay. Oh, Rudy. All right. So,
Oh, Rudy.
what have we learned today? We learned that there was an auction website that somebody says they found it, relocated it. I mean, okay, so let's just get down to it. I don't think it makes sense that Jack bought it and then took it to Forrest and then tried to sell it. I mean, and there's Rudy's stick. That's the original.
Yes. And no offense to you, Rudy. I started thinking about this last night. I was in one of my conspiracy moods and I was like, let me see if there's something behind here. And
oh, you haven't found the recording device in there yet?
Oh my God, I meant something positive.
Every time you talk to Cynthia, it turns on.
Oh, no, I haven't talked to Cynthia. Anyway, yes, I got one of these. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Tip of the iceberg, Mama Q says. Keep digging. So what I'm saying is, okay, Jack got the treasure chest. Either he retrieved it or he got it from somebody. Goes to Puerto Rico, does his whole thing, finally turns it into Forrest, finally decides to sell it, right? Does it make any sense that Jack somehow got it from the auction website?
No, here's my leading thought.
See how, yeah.
And I am going to put things like Justin could be this person. I don't know who. Someone found it.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were selling it, let's say it's okay. Well, let's do the first scenario. Jack found it. And when Jack is the auction site, and when Jack sold it, let's say to Justin as the buyer, when Justin bought it, he said, I don't want to be the front man. You're going to have to be the one that actually meets Forrest with it, but it's still mine. You need to be the front man. Or there's finders, there's retrievers, and Jack was hired. I can't believe I'm saying this, but for this auction site to be real, or was Jack the buyer? I don't think so with his emails. Right. I think it would be Jack was the auction site.
David Pisano says, I absolutely believe Jack could have bought it from the auction site.
Could be.
Uh-huh. And Hooley says, I'm clueless. Well, we all are, Hooley, at some point. It's a lot to digest. It's a lot of coincidences, a lot of things happening. Or maybe the most likely explanation, it is a troll. We know there were many of them in the chase. They just happened to get lucky with the timing of Jack finding it. That's possible, right?
Yeah, that's possible. And this goes to, I think Bavetta says this, Rudy says this, like the sheer dates make it like May 15th. It's been found. It's going to get announced shortly. It gets announced, 19 days later or whatever. The sheer dates make it a huge coincidence at the least. Some of the things they say make it, okay, that's a lot of coincidences starting to pile up. So, but is there any smoking gun at this point? Like the keep digging, if someone has more, if we all work together, this would go faster. Like Rudy, you've told me you know who the auction site owner is.
Come on, Rudy. Enough years gone by.
Let us dig into it. I know he won't want to dox or whatever, but anyway, everybody's holding on to those little pieces. It would help us a lot. That's as far as I'm willing to go. I'm not going to investigate people or any of that. If there's more tidbits that someone has, the more the merrier. And this was the same on the scrapbooks. Like Gallatin was screaming from the rooftops of scrapbooks. It took me an extra year. I just didn't think we'd ever be here. So I'm willing to dig into whatever. But if someone already has it, just wasting my time to get to the same thing that others have, that doesn't help us as a community move forward. That's all.
Well, Traveler Joe, the finder sold it to Fenn, who then hired Jack to be the face of the finder. And then Ken Oklahoma says, what are the odds F bought it from the auction? I don't know. I just don't know. Nemo says, thank you for both of you for going over all this information with the community. There should be 103 more thumbs up. Nice. Thumbs up, everybody.
So thank you for saying that, Nemo. Would you find it interesting? Let's just play this if. This is an if scenario. If Forrest sent someone to Yellowstone after the find in the month of June, do you think that would give more validity to the auction site?
So after the auction site comes out and says, hey, we found it, after the park opens from COVID, Forrest sends somebody to Yellowstone to check on it.
Yeah, let's say Shiloh comes out and says,
Right.
my grandpa sent me to Yellowstone. I'm not going to tell you why, but my grandpa sent me to Yellowstone. Why would he do that? I don't know. Something just to.
I don't know.
Yep. Okay. So going to auction site, where are you at? 50-50, 60-40?
And I still think it was a troll site that just happened to have timing with when it was found. I mean, there are some things that are interesting, but I don't see it has to be true type thing. It just doesn't line up with Jack. I mean, it just doesn't line up with Jack and what he did and that he sold it.
Right. So here's for me.
Yeah.
After lining up all the scrapbooks and the timing and the emails and all of that, I feel absolutely Forrest knew that the treasure had been found and he was battling with Jack and shit show and retarded and all of that stuff. But after this, it could be, but it also couldn't be. Like, I think it's really interesting. The fake movie was posted when Shiloh said something about the fake Dahori book that the movie was based on. So it's hinting a little, there's a little bit of a tease. So I'm not going to ignore it, but there's no smoking gun yet. I don't know if there ever will be. I don't even know how to get it other than if we know who it was running the site. I don't know.
Well, Shiloh knows if the auction website, if he has insight on that, that would be fun. That would be answers. That would be interesting. If he's like, yeah, that was legit. And then if he has some, I don't even know if he does, but
I know, but he's not going to be talking. So yeah, let's move on from that. I'm with you. So,
okay.
So it was an interesting exercise, but that's all I can say. Like, would I be surprised if Jack comes out later with his story and says I was the auction site? Or I wouldn't be surprised, but there's nothing more I feel I can do other than there it is.
And there it is, everybody. If my voice recovers by Thursday, we are going to give a clue for the invitation for those of you that are working on the invitation. That'll be Thursday's show. The invitation is still available. Somebody just bought one last week. It has not been found. Thanks to K-Pro for that PowerPoint. A lot of info there. If you guys really want to deep dive into it, play this back and pause on each of those emails and things and make your own notes. But at this point, will we ever know? I think if Jack actually ever tells his story, well, then we'll see. I mean, Jack said in an email, it's a troll site. Why would you believe it? That type thing. But
no, I think we're going to get the answers for searchers by searchers. I think Forrest thought of everything.
Well, he says he did, but I don't know if he actually did. He did not think of searchers not letting it go after it was found. I think that we can all agree on that one.
Well, I think he knew we weren't going to let it go. So maybe he did some of this to protect his family. And I think some of the, like, I don't think he ever thought Pam would hold back the email from the community. I think maybe it was purposeful, maybe it wasn't, and he wanted that information out. I think the family has made sure that's not going to happen. I think other people like Dale, I don't think he ever thought Dale was going to get a cease and desist. And so Dale would have been talking more, but didn't for obvious reasons. So I think we have, like he said, my family leaves me alone with this. So I think after he died, some things may have happened differently than he thought, because they definitely, by function of him not there, they had to be more involved. And I don't think the decisions were kind of parallel of what Forrest would have done. Basically, after Forrest passed, it wasn't the chase anymore. A lot of this has happened because I think Forrest passed so untimely.
Jack the jerk. Well, I guess that sums it up. Somebody had to end it. Okay. Well, there it is, everybody. 2.5 hours.
One more question.
Yeah.
Percent 0 to 100, Jack was nudged by Forrest.
Yeah, I think that's more probable than the auction website being legit. I think that he was jacked somehow, but nudged somehow. Jack was jacked somehow. But then again, maybe he just saw the Marvin Fenn fishing log and figured it out.
Yeah, I'm about over 90%.
That he was nudged?
Mm-hmm, by Forrest.
And it has to be by Forrest, right? Who else could nudge him? Nobody else would know. Was the nudge public, like through a scrapbook? Or do you think Forrest and
No.
Jack had a one-on-one conversation?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Trying
Interesting.
to narrow it down. Well, I think it was after the family meeting of alternative endings. The ping data shows he came down. I don't think he actually ever met with them because I think there was too many people around and all that. Maybe they talked on the phone like they did about the fake ways. That's what I think happened. Because the timing was just too, and even the auction site said, went down there, did some recon,
Right.
couldn't get in there without cameras, didn't want to have cameras. Yeah.
How does that Cypher Brain do on the 1% game show? I'm not familiar with the 1% game show, Ken. So email me a link. Let me know what that's all about. One More BOTG was the website owner. One More BOTG was the name. Interesting.
Yeah, and that's not a name. So was that a company?
Yeah.
Was that is there any way to, I know Candy says she knows somebody she thinks, but Rudy says the person he knows is not the one that Candy said, but he also has said he fibs sometimes. So I don't know what that means. Does Candy know? Does Rudy know? Are they the different people? Are they partners? Is it all? I don't know. I don't know.
Forrest nudged the whole community. Jack called it a slip up. Interesting. His favorite fishing hole. All right. We're not going to read that one, Nemo.
Yeah, I was gonna
All
say,
right.
Okay.
I'm tired.
I need to. I've had kids calling for over an hour, so I need to. I need to go. I need to.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna mute from here.
Go ahead and
'cause
jump off.
I must have an emergency at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, everybody. That's it. 2.5 hours. We went old school tonight, like we used to back in the day before it was found. Back when we all had fun. It's still fun. It's just we don't have any answers, unfortunately. So thank you for tuning in. We have over 100 of you that stuck with us for 2.5 hours. Again, thumbs up for K-Pro's PowerPoint because it just makes it easier where you can kind of read along, I think. Thumbs up for me reading it. I'm going to take a throat lozenge and go to bed.
We're gonna have a whole bunch of kids here soon.
Oh, great. And thumbs up yourself for still being involved in the thrill of the chase as we wait for Netflix, as we wait for whatever the hell else is going on. And thumbs up for thumbs ups, I guess. I don't
Wait,
know.
PowerPoint. Did you say for PowerPoints?
Yeah, thumbs up for PowerPoints. Just got Hanoi Hustler. You got to rewind it. Get 2.5 hours of good stuff right here.
I don't know.
Super chats. We do appreciate that. And
Hold
again,
on.
what?
Court case. Dun dun dun.
Yeah, 12-member jury. I think we need to make this
No,
happen.
okay. I think we can get 12 people who've never heard of the chase. Who's the judge? Okay, guys, if you have interest, email cowlazars@gmail.com. If you want to be the judge, if you want to be the lead for all the evidence for 9 Mile Hole or against 9 Mile Hole. I think that could be fascinating.
Yeah, that's if we could get the people, and then that would be fun. I mean,
well, but who? I mean, it would be interesting to see because there's a lot of naysayers of 9 Mile Hole. Can any of them bring together an articulate set of evidence?
right?
I would have my exhibits numbered and ready.
Can we have Carl on the show? Let him present the evidence.
He can be the judge.
Well, no, he's biased. He can't be the judge.
I'm so taxed. Oh, if Carl would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
If you have interest, yeah.
Thank you for keeping me company on a very long car ride. You got it, Gallatin Ghost. Stay safe out there. He's probably driving the 9 Mile Hole right now. Stay safe out there.
Cynthia drives everywhere, and sometimes Cynthia will just put me on her hands free, and we'll talk Jason. It'll be like when we used to drive to Santa Fe, it was like a 10-hour drive or whatever. Time would fly because we would talk nonsense. We would talk just what you're really into, kind of like you in that Marvel movie that I don't know what you're talking about.
Wolverine Deadpool was pretty good. Everybody, you should go see it if you're into Marvel. Yeah, go see it.
Should I tell him what my daughter said the spoiler was?
What? Oh no, because then somebody will get upset. You're spoiling it, even though it's not a spoiler or whatever. I wouldn't. Somebody lied to her and said somebody died, and she got upset. Okay. There it is, DK. I think that sums it up pretty much.
Okay, if you guys have an interest of a rabbit hole that I haven't gone down, I'm not going to apologize for not going down a rabbit hole but I'm up for rabbit holes because I did learn a lot from the scrapbook. I have a lot to like think about with this one. I don't know if it was worth the time of putting it in, but it was still interesting. We have some downtime because October or a little bit before October, we'll have JCB's Hunt, 1021 Old Santa Fe Trail, 1021. And then we have Netflix definitely coming. So
less than 3 months, JCB, hopefully less than 6 months or around 6 months, Netflix. And then who knows what the future holds. We still got to get in that olive jar. We still got to find that olive jar and open that bad boy up to see what it's in there. So how much is somebody going to sell Forrest Fenn's hair for? For DNA purposes, of course. And that's why he put them in there. So, all right. Yeah, still a lot of unanswered questions. And when's Randy going to give us another hint video? I don't know.
You know, that's actually the most pressing. Randy could be the judge for this because he's pretty unbiased.
He thinks it's GPS. Remember?
But he thinks it's
9 Mile
GPS
Hole.
at 9 Mile Hole.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway,
he's fair and impartial.
Yeah, if anybody has interest in participating or how we could make that happen, the Glenn Ross of the Chase, let me know.
Who gets to screen the jurors? I think we should all, voir dire them. Like, I think we should do it as a community. Yeah. You know what? We could get people's spouses that hate the search, like Copperdam's wife.
That would be funny. People, Shelly, if she was still around, people that hate the chase, that would be hilarious.
Or people that have like burned books or whatever. Your ex, my ex. No,
oh, jeez.
We totally could do that. They would be the most unbiased, and well.
Yeah, Billy Shaw says, yeah, they want to come on the show. Tigger says, what about Candy stuff? I thought you were going to do a show with her. Was that Candy's conspiracy theory stuff?
I don't know. It was something about reliquary. There's a whole thing on reliquary on Dale's Drive. Forrest had so many reliquaries. I was just talking with someone about that exact folder. And I was thinking, yes, you committed, Mike, to a 5-hour show all about. Yeah, it was reliquary and the codex of whatever and Skippy. You put it all on the and UFOs and Bigfoot and time travel. And you're going to go over Candy's Tinder to make sure it's right where she swipes whatever way.
Tinder?
Yeah, you're doing all that with her.
Okay, or not. And we'll see what happens first. All right, I'm going to bed, everybody. That's it. Good night. Thanks for tuning in. Again, we are going live Thursday for a big super duper clue for the invitation, which has a Forrest Fenn's treasure gold coin in it. So there we go. All right. Anything else, K-Pro?
No. If you guys do have show ideas, give me one because I have a couple in mind. But this one kind of came up because there was enough people that emailed me after and said, I'd really like to know about the auction site because a lot of people have talked about it, but like we went over it from beginning to end. So if you have an idea like that, and I'll just say, I think we have what are we in July? In the month of August, we are going to have a major chase development.
In the month of August?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
I'm just guessing for no reason whatsoever.
There's K-Pro guessing again. All right. And I would say if you want a copy of K-Pro's PowerPoint, just send $9.99 to the PayPal account and I'll email it to you. All right, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the super chats, guys. That was super cool.
That was fun.
We'll go get him a cup of coffee.
Will we do a show next Monday? Probably, but who knows what it's going to be on. But we'll see. So, okay, everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Bye.